Hello and welcome back to Wikis of Mirkwood. We're here with a pretty special episode today. It's a list review for the biggest tournament we have ever had on Northern Ireland or Ireland. The Emerald Isle, whatever way you want to look at it. It's Michael Bradford's tournament. It is called, I'm going to give it a go, Nerneth Arnadiada. I fucked it. It's a GBHL 100, IHL 100, Northern Ireland Open. So it's going to be a pretty big event. There's 50 odd players. We do have a bunch of statistics for them here, and we're going to go through all the lists. So get yourselves a cup of tea, strap yourselves in, because it's going to be a long one. I am joined by my very, very good friend, Michael Bradford. Say hello, Michael.
Hello, Michael. It's an honor to be here, Connor. Cheers for having me, bud.
Love to have you as always, mate. It's been a while since you've been on, actually. So it's good to finally get your one rep in the big screen. So yeah, we're gonna get stuck into it. We have quite a lot to get through here, so we're gonna have a quick look at. Would you like to have a look at the statistics first, Michael, and then we'll jump into the lists? Or
Yeah. Let's do stats. Um,
if you just want to tell us a wee bit about the event itself, then sort of where it is, just the general flow, and we'll jump in.
yeah, no, I'll rattle through it. Sort of the desire for this tournament this year was to build on the success of last year and try and find a venue that was big enough to host a greater amount of people. And I believe I've found a good one. This how it goes this year will tell, but we're going to be in sort of just the outskirts of Belfast City. About probably a mile or so from the city centre up in the suburbs, at Belfast Harlequins Rugby Club. And it's an 800-point tournament, one army. Um, it's got an added feature called the Silmaril Hunt, where in each game there's three Silmarils and they're treated as light objects. You can only carry one. You can't give it up, put it down, or anything unless you get killed. Um, and there's prizes for that for the people who collect the most Silmarils at the end of the tournament. And then there's a few scenario scoring adjustments and one scenario deployment adjustment for scenarios within the tournament. Each round's going to be 1 out of 18 scenarios, so there's no pools. Storm the Camp's going to be 24-inch deployment. Contest of Champions, leader kills will be 2, 4, 6. Break-in will be 1, 3. And the leader, like killing the enemy leader, will be 1 for wounding them, 2 for killing them, and 3 for killing them with your leader, sorry. You've got Seize the Prize, where the game doesn't end if the prize goes off the table. Instead, it's going to end when one force reaches 25%. And then heirlooms is 5 for the heirloom at the end of the game. 3 if you have more models around the heirloom than the opponent, and that can be if the opponent is carrying the objective. So if your opponent is holding the objective, but you've got more models around it, they'll get 5 for it, you'll get 3. And then break-in in that scenario is 1 and 3. So yeah, that's just a rattle through the sort of wee scenario amends I've done, and we'll see how they go. Um, yeah, I think that off the top of my head is sort of what's going on in this particular event.
I really like the scenario changes. I think the Seize the Prize one's a big one because I've played a couple of games to Seize the Prize where someone's like had the prize. And I remember one against Nick specifically, and he tried to like he's really cleverly buried his Faramir like in like a little hole with a couple of guys. And had it been a normal scenario where he gets the 25% the game ended, he would have had the prize. But because we
Mm,
both had to be 25%, I was just able to like murder him until I eventually got the Faramir and caught it. And it was just
yeah,
it's just a bit annoying, like the way some of them work. And then the contest one as well, like you can instantly lose the scenario like the old way. So yeah, definitely adds it. I've also often played with the idea in my head, is it worthwhile, like in contest, if like your leader dies, can like the next highest person pick up the like the baton, so to speak,
yeah,
and
yeah.
start earning you points. But I guess there's a bunch of different ways to look at them. I completely like keep forgetting about the Silmaril challenge. So that's something I'm going to be focused on.
Well,
Like,
I quite like the prizes I got for it. Like I wish I was competing for them because
that's
they are the Silmarils. But they're pretty neat. So I hope people will go for them. But no, the theory behind the sort of wee scenario adjustments is to mitigate the swingy scenarios that often crop up and can ruin.
Yeah.
one person's tournament or multiple people's tournaments, just by the nature of them.
Yeah.
And they also, it's the changes should fit in with the scoring system we use, which is, each person starts the game on 12 TPs, and you just add the VP difference to their final result.
Yeah.
With the sort of the wee caveat that if you win the game by 1 point or 2 points, you
Yeah.
automatically get a 3 point bump. So you'd go to 15 instead of 13 or 14, but your opponent will just have the VP difference added. They won't suffer extra damage. So
Yeah, it's tried, tested, and works pretty well. How does one get the Silmarils again?
so they'll be lined up on the center line. I think off the top of my head, I've said one on each side will be 6 inches in from the side. So the sides of the board edge, so that shouldn't ever interact with objectives in scenarios unless maybe you've got domination or
Yeah.
heirloom.
Yeah.
And then one of them will be in the center. But if there's an objective in the center, like capturing control or any of the others where you can place an objective or it starts in one, you just place it 3 inches to the right. Although I actually realized the other day I haven't clarified to which player's right. So just common sense will be just put the damn thing 3 inches to the right or
Yeah.
whatever. It doesn't matter.
And each you can pick up all three or in the game, basically.
Yeah, so it's a light object. So you get to it, you pick it up. If you were infantry, if you're a cav with the expert rider rule, I believe you can pick it up too.
Yeah.
Obviously normal cav can't, so you'd have to dismount. But one model can pick up one Silmaril. You can't have like
One guy with three of
glider
them.
hopping over to three. Yeah, exactly.
So the reason I
That would
ask really is Peter McFetridge is going to get a shout out here, but because we did the last event, whether they were like in corners and just like something like the scribe that was able to bring on goblins in every corner and just pick things up like so quickly was such a like massive break, for Mike's like relics in that event.
yes.
So it's
Yeah.
good. It doesn't really seem that there's any way you can kind of do that with this one. So that was
Well, that there's the two close to the sides, but the good news is, spoiler alert, there's no Goblin town lists, so that's not
yeah,
an
that's
advantage
big.
anyone at this
Yeah,
tournament's going to get.
that's surprising to see that there's absolutely no like not even one because I
Yeah.
always expect to see at least one recently. But
You might. It's a list that suffers probably from the 80 model cap. This event has 4 model minimum, 80
true,
model cap.
true. Forgot about that.
Goblin Town isn't so much skills, in my humble opinion, as overwhelming the board with models, especially at high 800. You could have, over 100 models plus the scribe. So
It's very boring, in
I
my
I
experience.
think so.
You
I
know,
think so.
it
But
can the throwing goblin thing's hilarious. Like me and Connor had a laugh at a doubles tournament there with it at the weekend,
yes,
and
yeah.
even the scribe just felt broken at times. But yeah, it is very much a one-dimensional force.
Hmm.
So into the statistics for how do you pronounce your event, Michael?
So I believe there'll be bigger nerds than I who will probably disagree, but I think it's Nerneth Arnodiad.
I'm sure Big John
I've
would know.
not rolled whatever needs rolled in that because my tongue's not Elvish, but
Fair. So,
um,
Elvish Irish event, as it will now formally be known. This is our alliance list. So we have a showing here of the legendary legions in blue, pure armies in black, green alliances in green, and yellow alliances in yellow. Very well colored there, Michael. Um, so a lot of legendary legions, a lot of pure armies, decent amount of yellow alliances, and a healthy amount of green.
yeah, interesting to see that there's no reds, but they're like red, whilst it can still, there's lovely themed lists you can come up with that are red. And there are some sort of powerful combinations you can make with red. I think, well, one, this event is prioritizing theme. There's prize per theme, but also I just think there's advantages to, or there's too many disadvantages applied to red now. that are mitigated by taking yellow and still forming powerful combinations that if you have a choice between the two, it kind of makes sense to avoid the breaking issue and just go with the yellow alliance.
Yeah.
So yeah. But it's pleasing to see, so many people looking at pure armies and green armies in particular, legendary legions. People love them or hate them, take them or leave them, but obviously there's a good amount there.
I like legendary legions.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
good
no, no,
fun.
some are decent. But we've got, I think, 18 legendary legions, 17 pure armies, 14 green, and 7 yellow. So
Mhm.
yeah, very, very even between legendary legions and pure.
I feel that a lot of the legendary legions are probably going to be similar to each other. There's probably going to be a couple of the same, a few ones.
Mm.
My favorite thing about it so far is the good evil split is T down the middle. I said this to you before. Kind of looks like a Pepsi sign. Um, but yeah, it's good to see. It's almost a good versus evil event, though it won't work out that way. Like you'll be playing good versus good, it's whatever
Uh,
tables draw it. But it's pretty nice to see a very nice. It always seem to be like so predominantly one way or the other. In recent memory, that it's nice to
mm.
see like a more healthy balance now. I expected it to be more evil.
I did too. My personal opinion is evil is probably more of the meta at the moment.
Hmm.
But everyone entering this event is obviously welcome to, and I would assume competing to do well. But I think there is a very healthy amount of attendees attending, to have fun, to bring what they want. And I think, unless they are the Garage McGinleys of the world who are in love with the Spider Queen and other evil such things. A lot of them enjoy their elves, their good lists, and the heroes of Middle Earth
Hmm.
rather than the pure evil. So we've got 29 good forces and 27 evil, I think, is the split. So it is near enough right down the middle.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and as you say, pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's almost like it's not impossible to run a banter force with evil. Like obviously you've got some options, but like it seems a lot easier to run a banter force with good just because of like your hero options and Thorin's company and like hobbits and just ents and stupid stuff. Like with
Yeah,
evil,
yeah.
it seems like you've kind of got spiders, which are terrifying and not that fun for everybody, and
Mhm.
the three trolls, and
Mhm.
and then Moria, I guess. If you want to like look at a bunch of monsters and stuff, but it's not as just doesn't instantly shout banter. So whereas good, there's like a lot of different sort of options you can go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we maybe made liars out of later on in this
Well,
podcast,
very, very
but
potentially, I hope so.
yeah,
But we'll see, we'll see. Army, so a quick look at these. Two Dunlins again. I wonder is it the same guy that was playing Dunland at the Irish Masters? Army Lake-town. So what's the highest we've got? Minas Tirith. Host of
yeah,
Dragon Emperor, expected to see that. Serpent Horde, wasn't expecting to see that many Serpent Horde. Rivendell, quite a lot. Mordor, expected. Lothlorien. Lothlorien's been popular recently, to be fair.
yeah.
Um,
Connor, if you can scroll down a wee touch there. Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. So everyone, I do apologize for my limited statistic skills here. It could be a much better labeled, clearer graph, I'm sure. But basically, this is the factions that are in play. So
mhm.
if somebody has a Minas Tirith and Rohan alliance, that'll be one score for Minas Tirith in this and one score for Rohan.
Yeah,
So there'll be far more entries here than there are lists at the event, and that's because of the alliances people have bought in, be they green or be they yellow. So
should be
for
a lot of
example, that
fiefdoms, for instance, could be kicking about within here somewhere.
yeah, fiefdoms is there. There are three. That says two. But there's actually three. Um, but yeah, the Serpent Horde. I think there's at least one, if not two. sort of Suladan alliances, where he's been thrown into like a Mordor list.
There's a
So
Vanquisher of
yeah,
Necromancer. This
there is a Vanquishers of the Necromancer Legendary Legion. There is indeed.
is that Sprule?
It could be. It could be. I don't know if you've got the list document I sent.
We'll
We might be in
see.
for a
We
treat,
will
but
see.
yeah.
The Shire, I know who that is. Fantastic. The Three Trolls, what a legend. Uh,
Yes, what a legend.
yes, there is some fantastic stuff. Yeah, we'll have quick looks at these anyway. Before because we do have so many lists to get through. Leaders. Who's our most popular leader? And what a surprise. The Dragon Emperor, the Witch King,
It's yeah.
two very popular choices. Um,
The Dragon Emperor kind of has to be taken as the leader of the host of
yeah,
the Dragon Emperor Legendary Legion, of which near 10% of the lists are that. For a list that's not really been played much over on these shores, it's quite funny to then see
have
this
so much
event
of it.
host five of them. Like, but
Yeah, yeah, I quite like to play against one of them. It would be funny with what I'm bringing, I think.
uh,
We've got, which is quite, we've still got with two Tridents, so like even having him up there is quite funny.
I think that'll be
Others.
the Dunland Legendary Legions. I'm betting.
Oh, it would be, yeah. I just want to know who the other one is because I know who one of them is, and then of course Big Uggers. So someone's playing Scouts.
Hmm.
Right. So down to our hero
Um,
count.
not on that list as well. Sorry, Mouth of Sauron, a nice, interesting addition to
Indeed.
the leader list. You've got a few. You've got Gertz and Goroth are up there too. They're not really often seen as leaders. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You've got your standard
Mad
boys, and then
King,
you've got some. There's a King of Men
Dalamir,
in there.
Denethor, yeah.
It's cool
Gurmers.
to see the diversity.
Bjorn, of course. Azog, one of my favorites. No Ball. The Balrog. I think I know who that is as well. There's a Bolg.
Yeah, there's a
Beautiful.
Vogue.
There's a Bolg.
There's a certain flappy list with a Vogue in it.
I do love a Bolg. Hero count, number of heroes, number of armies. Make sense of this one for me.
I was just interested to see, like what is the standard amount of heroes people look for
Oh, I
at
see.
800 points. It'll depend on armies, of course. So, for example, your 13 and your 14 there, I'm pretty sure are the Grey Companies. There's one with oh no, there's two lists with nine. One of them is literally the nine. There's 18 actually at four, I believe. So I think four tends to be the most popular number. It is around four or five, depending. And then if you've got like a big list, like your last alliance, where you've got Elendil, Gil-galad, Círdan, that's a ready three for you because you've got a smaller amount of
Mm.
people. But yeah, between three and six seems to be the most popular rank of how many heroes you'd be taking.
I mean, if Merry and Pippin are heroes, I've got five with
Yes,
seven model army.
yes. I have a horrible feeling I might have put you as three.
That's just,
I
well, it
did put
makes
you as
more
three.
sense, you know what I mean?
Wow,
Because
just pure getting it wrong, doesn't it? Sick.
guess is who I am. Fuck's sake. I'm not the Shire anyway. Model count, that looks about, that's where I expected it, to be honest. That seems to be pretty mid-range for 800 points is sort of midpoint between 40 and 50, isn't it?
Yeah, I think people aim the magic number in inverted commas. It's whatever you want to do with it, of course, but the magic number is about 40. The sort of take the number of points the tournament is and divide by 20 should be the sort of amount of models you're aiming
mm,
for. With the pool system in particular, the meta has started to look at trying to get more models in than less. So 40 to 50 is generally what
Definitely,
people are
yeah.
aiming for to cover all the scenarios. But I mean that well, what would you call this? Some sort of graph sort of displays that the spike in the cluster is indeed between high 30s to sort of low mid 50s.
It looks like what my heart does on a Sunday morning after a night out. As soon as I wake up in the morning, pure anxiety attack. Um, so I'm gonna
Oh,
guess that the 70, 90, 81 model army is the Shire. But
Aye, that's 80 on the dot.
yeah, that would make sense. I'm down here somewhere, and yeah, it's a nice mix. It's this was expected, but like the fact that there's quite a lot of low level armies, that's nice.
You've
And then
seven
some of the
models, don't
higher
you?
end. Yeah,
So I just didn't count Merry and Pippin as heroes 'cause I'm an idiot. But
you'll just forget that they're there most of the time.
yeah, so I
Because
counted
they've
them
only
in the
got like
force,
one
not
fate, no might. Should have a might. It's bullshit.
they're good. They're good for throwing stones, but no, I was the thing about this particular set of stats is, there are a number of lists that are all hero or very low model count.
Hmm.
So I think this list is sort of missing a 41 and a 30. So that again is either dead in the middle and then slightly lower. But
Yeah,
you've got everything from 5 models to
80.
maybe 14, I think, there at the bottom.
Oh yeah,
And those are lists that will hit.
yeah.
They'll make an impact and they'll be swingy, but anything could come up, and all the scenarios that favor such
Hmm.
lists could come up. So it's fun to see again a lot of diversity and not
Yeah,
just the bog standard 40 model armies.
yeah. This is the big center section is kind of like what's normally going on. Then this
Yes.
bottom bit is just like all your small hero punching super armies. And then
Yeah.
up here is just the Shire, just chilling with all their stones,
Yeah.
getting ready to ping some windows. That's pretty much
It's
it.
the one filthy horde player, Gareth.
Yeah, beautiful, man. Beautiful. Oh, count. So we're nearly at the end of the stats. So healthy looking. Um, again, sort of what you expect to see, I think, with those. Uh,
Yeah, there's a spread. It should be 11 with Nobos, and there should be an extra one at 10. But yeah, people tend to be going for about they're pushing towards a third of their force being bows, so trying to max out the bow count. You have some lists. I'm pretty sure the Shire. There's a Minas Tirith one, Serpent Horde. They're the ones at the upper end
mm-hmm.
of the bow counts
17,
there.
18 archers in a list or something with a lot of those, yeah.
But these,
Um,
I was kind of struck by there's 11 lists with no bows. Some of them just make sense. Others are people choosing to build a list in a certain way without
yeah,
bows because they can't be bothered to
because you
have
get
that option.
likes of
Um,
dwarves and stuff, maybe, or well, I suppose we'll see. But
uh, Host of Dragon Emperor and Orcs
right enough,
for the
yeah,
most part. But also the most of these lists that don't have bows will have march, and most of them have a drum.
yeah,
So if you have bows, they'll be running into you quite
yeah,
quickly and
yeah.
cruising
You'll
down
get
that distance.
maybe a turn shooting off before you get punched in the face.
To Eternal too, but
Yeah,
it shouldn't wither them too much.
yeah. So that's those in Middle Earth. They either do a lot or they do absolutely nothing. Might points again. Let's see. So
It should be the last one, I think. But yeah,
yeah,
it's again to show, when people, I think
I think
again,
that's
a
about.
general rule that people aren't tied to is to take one might point per 100 points.
Hmm.
So you can see here, eight is probably the mode. I think
It's
we're
usually two big heroes and a captain, isn't it? Usually works out about eight anyway,
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
And so, for example, host the Dragon Emperor, Rutabi, Borgir, and the Emperor's Eight. Most of those lists have that.
you have like four
I think
captains as eight.
we're missing a 9 here, and we're missing an 11. But yeah, again, you can see the sort of the bell curve. The most common are about from 8 to 14. 14 slightly higher, but definitely 8 to 12 is where the majority of lists are lying because they've got 3 or 4 heroes.
Some people have 22, 23, and 24 might.
Yeah, so I
Thorns
think big
Thorns Company's bound to be one of
big
those.
Big Thorns Company is indeed one of them. I think closely followed by the Grey
The
Companies.
Grey Company, of course.
And then
A
we've got the
fellowship,
Black
maybe?
Riders.
Oh,
No,
Black
the
Riders.
Black Rider. It is a fellowship of sorts. It is a fellowship of evil. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. That's good to see. I mean, I've got like nine myself, so yeah. That's
Yeah,
uh
you're slap bang in the middle.
that's the hardest thing to do with Thorns Company, I think, when you're going up against them. Like there's not many of them, but trying to remember or just write down how much might they have left, who has no might, and most importantly, which one's Jimmy Nesbitt and how do I kill him? It's usually the main things. But yeah, that's good to see. So that's all of our stats. I think that already gives us a bit of an eye opener as to what we're going to be seeing. There's a lot of expected and a lot of out of bounds unexpected as well. It's a bit of a mix up. So let's jump on and have a look at the list. Okay, so we are here with the first of many lists for Michael's event. Not having to go at that again. And we're up with the mighty Scott Connor Kerr, army number 1. We've got Mordor. It's the first of many pure armies. Warband 1 has Goroth, 80 points. He's the leader. He's got 6 more Northern Orcs with shields and 6 with shield spears and 1 with the banner. Warband 2 is the Taskmaster, Craig Davies, unreal. That's a good show, you know. I don't know if you've seen it, but I would recommend. It's a good show.
I haven't watched it too much. Yeah.
It's good. 6, depends who's on it, but it's good. 6 orcs, 3 orcs with spears, 2 with spears and shields, and Drummer Boy. Coming up at the right time of the year for him, anyway. We've got Warband number 3 in Cardish and 12 trackers. Warband number 4, Shagga, with shield and armor. 6 orcs with shields, 6 orcs with shields and spears. And then Gorbag with shield, 6 orcs with shields, 6 with shield and spears. Not bad from Connor Kerr. I've never seen him play as normal in army before.
Well, it's normal and somewhat not in that it was. I don't know. I would consider such a list. It's a bit out of left field. It's definitely got its merits. But there's no big heroes. You've got the hitting power of Shagrat, sure, but it's mostly heroes of fortitude, if not all heroes of fortitude, pretty much, except for the drummer from Mordor. So they're leading a Mordor Orc horde for the most part. Actually, no, sorry, I take that back. They're leading mostly orcs. So it really is just an orc horde with a wee core of Mornings in there and a bunch of trackers to be Cardish fodder. Yeah, so it's an interesting choice. There'll be a lot of work cutting through them all, and I could see it having some success, especially with Connor at the helm. He's a very good player.
It's like 50-ish models as well, yeah.
Yeah, 6. I'm just trying to find his 65 models. You know,
65.
so it's definitely at the bigger end, especially when you've got a lot of fight 3 in there, but also some strength 4 D6 is quite nice to have. And yeah, just a lot of bodies.
Yeah.
A lot of bodies to throw at you. Yeah.
And Cardish.
I mean, what's scary is that, you know, this is Alex Neves' mentor, so you know, we'll see how Connor does, but we can only expect Alex to keep getting better with Connor taking care of his training.
Very true. I think they're teaming up for an event potentially.
I would not be surprised. It's like the Sith getting together.
It's quite funny, like, yeah. It's what do you call the 2 orcs? It's forgetting me now in Mordor that have that relationship in the book. Is that Shagrat and
Shagrat and Gorbag?
Gorbag, yeah. That's very much them too, isn't it? The next legend, Louis. I haven't seen Louis in a long time. Looking forward to seeing him, and he's bringing dwarves even better with a bit of Arnor and a bit of Misty Mountains and a bit of Halls of Thranduil. Sure, why not? Bit of everything.
Look at that formatting from me. Just beautiful.
It is. It is.
A name on one page, list on the other.
That is, Louis does seem the type of person who would be very well formatted for these sort of things, you know. So Kingdom of Khazad-dûm, and a bunch of other stuff that I mentioned. Warband 1 will be the Windlord Gwahir. He is the leader. Warband 2 is a Dwarf King with 14 Khazad guards and a Dwarf Warrior with shield and banner. Warband 3 is the last King of Arnor, Arvid Dway. I have no idea.
Sure, Arvid, yeah.
Yeah. 11 Warriors of Arnor, 2 Hobbit Archers, and a Ranger of Arnor with Spear. We've got Leggy on horse, 2 Mirkwood Knights with shields, 2 Mirkwood Elves with glaives, 3 Mirkwood Elves with glaives and bows, 40 models, 21 casualties to break it, quarters 10, 7 bows, 11 might, 800 on the button. I like that list, you know, like that's a nice weird mix.
It's the new Lake-town soup. I mean, Louis is brilliant at coming up with the Flemish stew. And I mean, it covers a lot of bases. You've got Gwahir the Windbag. He can, when he rolls well, do his good sort of monster stuff. You've got Legolas sniping, also providing high fight value spear supports. the rest of your models mostly fight 4, so that's pretty high anyway. And you've got the dwarves in there to do the killing with their strength 4. It covers, most of the bases you want. It gives you sort of the usual required amount of might. It's 40 models on the dot. But it's not just 40 models, it's kind of 40 elites for the most part. So
Hmm.
it can be run very well. Louis is a very good player. He's an all-round hobbyist. Like he paints beautifully, he plays well, and he's coming up with innovative sort of list ideas like this that will be hard for players to break through, I think, for the most part. So yeah, keen to see how he'll do, but it's a good list in my opinion.
I'm very keen to see how that goes. Um, yeah, there's like he's got all the strength 4, he's got all the fight 5, he's even got some hobbits for the crack, he's got like chaff to effectively hold objectives, he's got a good bit of might, he's got a monster, he's got a sniper, he's got a banner. Yeah, he's doing pretty well. It's nice. That's if that's the new lit concept, at least it's slightly more interesting. No way. But, David Murphy. He's not here today to shout his normal abuse and insults. So it'll be much more PG, this review today. He's got the Mordor Pure Army, very expected from our Dave. He's got Warband 1, the leader is Gurrett's Master of Reserves. He's got an Orc Drummer, an Orc Warrior with Banner, 5 Orcs with Shields, and 5 Spears and Shields. I should say they are more Nannins. Warband 2 is Kardish with 4 Trackers, 4 more Nannan Orcs with Shields, and 4 with Spears and Shields. Warband 3 is Gorebag with a Shield. 5 more Nannins with Shields, 5 with Spears and Shields. Then Warband 4, Zagdish, Copycat Warband, so again 5 and 5, and Warband 5, Grishnak with Shield, and 6 and 6 in that one. Dave plays Mordor well. Not much. I suppose he's just sticking with what he knows for that, and I don't blame him. It's a bit of a shark tank, this one. He's got a good amount of might. He's got Gurrit, so he can control. Isn't Gurrit the one that does the help shout Maelstrom and stuff? Is that what he does?
He's the he's the best Maelstrom hero.
Yeah,
He affects the whole army, no matter what the army is.
yeah,
So it's like it's an interesting take on Connor's list because I hope I'm not getting this wrong. I think Connor was a split between Morning Orcs and Mordor Orcs, whereas Dave's is predominantly Morning, sorry. So there's a lot of strength 4 and D6 throughout the whole army. That's going to be very, very tough to cut through.
yeah.
And when they win, they will have a good time whittling down your numbers. So I think he's able to do that because, for example, he doesn't have Shagrat. So the 50 points difference between Shagrat and any one of these heroes is probably spent on upgrading the Orcs to Morning Orcs, would be
Yeah,
my guess. And he's got slightly less numbers, but it's still 61. That's still a lot of troops, like a lot of
yeah, and
troops.
Moran and Orcs as well. Like they're like some of the best troops in the game. Strength 4, D6.
Yeah, strength 4, D6. Fight 3 is average enough. Usually you see them behind Black Numenorian front line for that fight
Hmm.
4. But yeah, and in this case, we're going full on assault on the White City, I guess.
Yeah, he was playing a themey game, where I think he defended the White City. Said that from if I remember what he said, but it seems to be maybe they were testing out those lists at the time. So be
Could
good to
be.
see it from
Could be.
Dave. Good to see the lad again. I haven't seen him in a bit. Chris Baird, gentleman and a scholar, Minas Tirith. He knows it well. He's got big Bozza as always on Warband 1. That'll be his leader. He's got a shield, a horse, and the big flag. He's got 14 Fountain Court Guard because Chris has 14 Fountain Court Guard and they look fantastic together and they all have shields. He's got an Ascilian Veteran with Spear and Shield. Warband 2 is Big Huron with a horse. He's got 6 Fountain Court Guard, sorry, because Chris has like 20 Fountain Court Guard. With shields, 6 Knights with Shields and 2 Rangers with Spears. Warband 3 is Madril with 12 Rangers with Spears, 44 models, 14 bows. 50% is 22, so 23 to break, and quarter is 11. He ran this against me at the, what do you call that thing we did? QCon? Really good list.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Really, really good. The Fountain Court are bastards, completely like nullified. Well, not nullified, but made it hard for the scouts. Like, um, just always needing those 6s a lot, unless we got the +1s off, and it was just a bit of a bastard getting it.
They're strength 3 lets them down somewhat. For
Mm-hmm.
D7, fight 4 up to fight 5 around Boromir. This is a tried and tested, want to say GBHL 100 winning list. And it again, it ticks a lot of boxes. You've some good hitting power in your heroes, but you've a good amount of models that have very high fight value. And they've got good numbers and a banner behind them,
Mm-hmm.
plus high courage. So, they are ticking a lot of boxes. And should all three Maelstrom scenarios come up, well, look, he's got Madro right there. Three solid war bands. I think Chris, he's for all his bluster about not being a competitive player, and his dice letting him down and stuff. He's taken a fantastic list, and he absolutely has the ability to run it really well. But like when you play Chris, you have a fantastic game. He's very funny,
Mm-hmm.
and
He's
just
very funny.
he keeps you entertained. So
Yeah.
yeah, anyone matching against him will have a tough game getting through him, but they'll have a lovely game.
Yeah. I said it before, like he can 100% be a comedian. Um, and
He makes me laugh every time.
he is hilarious. And he's yeah, like I've never had an easy game against him. So like,
No, no.
yeah, he's definitely a lot better than what he lets on.
But
Chris
you
just
can
trying to
tell
be a wee Smurf.
he's trying to be a competitive player this tournament because he's not taking the lesser. So
True. Yeah, he does hate him with a passion. So
I
uh,
I
he
don't
just
understand it,
he
but
doesn't
it's
perform for him. I've seen it in person. It's like my
it's
Thranduil
ridiculous.
just
I don't
doesn't.
understand it.
Where my Thranduil is the same. It's just whiffs. Yeah, anytime I've used Aragorn, he's been lethal. So yeah. So a new player that is this one of the people traveling to the event?
Yes, so we have people from France, Dutchland or Holland, Germany, Finland, in this case, Belgium, and then Scotland and England, all congregating to meet up with their Northern Irish pals. So Rainy Mikola is from
Fantastic.
Finland. He is a top Finnish player. He is also a government operative, but he has allowed me to share that information to make him more interesting and mysterious. So yeah, he's taking time out of some 007 style work, I guess, cleaning up the Brexit situation to come over and play his Bears. So it'll be great to have him over. They're a well painted force from what I've seen, and I hear he uses them well. So it's nice to see Bears represented too. We've only had, I think, Bears really run by one player over here, the Ben Fitzpatrick, I think it was.
Alex, I think.
And oh, it couldn't have been Alex. It couldn't have
Alex
been
ran Bears.
Alex.
I think Alex ran an event with Bears, or
It,
won an
it,
event
wa-
with Bears.
it absolutely was Alex. I'm just looking forward to him biting on that as soon as I get it wrong. Um, yeah, so
Jeez.
no, so like Rainy seems wonderful. We're looking forward to welcoming him, and I am hoping in the not too distant future to go over to Finland for maybe their Open or something. I was hoping to go this year. It fell through sadly, but there's good lads over there, and it's a similar community to ours. I would think it's small, growing, but that's the whole point of events like this and forging these connections and relationships is to help other communities grow through international sort of cooperation, crossing boundaries, and meeting each other and building a community. Because
Yep.
it's the reason we got numbers at this
Yeah.
event is people coming over and supporting the locals. It's lovely.
And having big
So yeah,
creamy pints. So it'll be good indeed.
yeah. So it's a typical. I don't think there's too much. Like you can't really build a very diverse Bears Legion, as far as I'm aware.
Always
You
the
kind of
same.
have to just determine how many bows you take. In this case,
Yeah.
he's taking six plus Grimbeorn. Um, yeah, and that's that's kind of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty much
They
always the same, mostly, isn't it?
yeah, they hit hard. They'll be depending on the scenario, it's hard to take apart, and you've just got to find a way to whittle through the
Mm.
warriors and shut down the bears. Good luck is what I say.
Yeah. Hit hard, look nice, and there's not a lot of them, but it doesn't really matter.
Uh,
So, yeah. So Bjorn, 7 Bjorns, a hand and a half axe, 3 Bjornings with great bow, and warband 2 is just Grim Bjorn, 7 Bjorns, a hand and a half axe, 3 Bjornings with grip, 2 copycat warbands, 2 big heroes, 22 models, 11 to 50%, 12 to break, 5.5 is a quarter, so 6, I imagine you would need to kill in that case. Or 6 left. Is it 5 or 6? The
It'll
quarter.
be five
Five,
left. Yours
five.
going down for quarter.
That's the
Yeah.
one. Oh, Matthew Butler, what a man. And of course he's the Azogs because I knew he was bringing this and it skipped my mind completely. Everyone's going to love this if he actually didn't make it last time. So hopefully his car holds up for the journey this time.
I
Because
I will drive down
uh, I'll go
and
with you.
drag him up if it
It is
fails
a
anyway.
wonder to behold, this thing. So Matty Butler and his Azog's Legion. He's got Warband 1 with Azog. He comes with a Signal Tower, a hand-built, wonderful-looking Signal Tower, the White Warg, heavy armor, and a stone flail. So 445 points of his 800-point army is Azog. Uh,
Uh-huh.
2 Gundabad Ogres, I believe they're called Joey and Chandler. 9 Gundabad Berserkers, 4 Warbats, 800 points, 23 models. This includes the 7 lieutenants from the Signal Tower. He has them all numbered and stuff. And kill 12 models to break it. He's just went pure banter. It's so good. You've seen it. It's class.
It is class. Now Matthew's a very gifted modeler, so
Mhm.
I want to sort of incept him to sort of model the 7 lieutenants on the tower after the sort of main characters from Reservoir Dogs. So you could put them in suits and then name them Mr. Pink, Mr. White, Fat Joe and stuff like that.
Fantastic.
Um, but this has to be one of my favorite lists coming to the event because it is just so niche and out there,
Hmm.
and like it has the potential to be competitive. And goodness knows the Signal Tower is a nightmare, but it is being run by an absolute gentleman. And Matthew will run it all for fun and be there for the crack as well as his lovely paint job he'll have added to it. So looking forward to seeing it. Looking forward to having him up. Yeah, we'll see how people deal with this. It's gonna hit hard.
Yeah, it
Definitely,
is
definitely.
100% gonna hit hard. I mean, in Recon, if you have more people in it, can't you just park it at one end of the board and just walk straight off?
Yeah, you can do that. No, it's gonna
Now
take a
you would
couple
lose a
turns because
lot.
he'll be on
Yeah,
top of the tower, so he'll have
true,
to march
true,
down and all.
very true.
But even so, it's an effective diversion, if
It is.
anything.
It's very cool. Dave
Like
Shearer.
worst comes to worst, you can just throw the tower at people. So
Yeah, it's the fact that has the banners and stuff, and he's got like little cloth bits of the banners. It's great.
it's brilliant.
So Dave Shearer, he's bringing. This is the first time I've seen Dave Shearer bring a bigger army as well. So the Fellowship and Lothlorien Green Alliance is solid. So Warband 1 Fellowship, leader is a Gandalf with a horse. It's kind of the grey. Warband 2 is Haldir with heavy armor and elf bow. 1 guard of the Galadrim Court, 4 Wood Elf Warriors, 4 Wood Elf Warriors with bow, 4 with spears, and 1 with a spear and a banner. Warband 3 is Rumil, 1 guard of the Galadrim Court, 3 Wood Elf Warriors, 4 with bows, 4 with spears. Warband 4 is Wood Elf Captain with Elf Bow and Throwing Daggers. 4 Elf Warriors, 4 with bows, 4 with spears. At 799 points, it's 42 models, 23 to break it, 10 to quarter it, and it's got 12 bows. It's a pretty solid list. I've only ever seen Dave bring like 6 models, 7 model. Thorin's company-sized armies, even probably at the most. So interesting.
Yeah, like Dave for me is an exemplary person for playing the game in the spirit of just playing the game. Like
Hmm.
he brings fun, themey lists, often stuff you don't see that much, and he has absolutely the ability to do well with them, but he's also just there for the crack and just a lovely player to get a game against. So I was interested to see his choice of list because it's not unthematic. If anything, the only thing that I personally am disappointed by, but I think it was caused by the absence of the model from his stores, is I would have loved to seen Orofin in this
Yeah,
list. But I don't
yeah.
think he had him because if like that would for me would be a candidate for best theme is just having the three
Instead of
brothers
the captain.
prancing
Yeah,
around.
yeah,
But I
definitely.
don't think he had him, and even then, the fact that instead of something harder hitting, he's got a wood elf captain. It's fantastic to see
We'll just pretend
a
that's him.
list.
you know.
But it's a list comprised of warriors you don't really see in
Yeah.
armies, especially
Was
obviously
she
Lothlorien. Wood elves are very soft, high fight value, lovely shooting
D3,
ability.
are they?
But
Yeah. They're wearing
I
cloth,
think
aren't they?
so. Yeah, I think so. So these are, I imagine them as the sort of the elves in the trees that the Fellowship
Exactly.
meet when they escape Moria, not
Hmm.
the elves that fictionally went to Helm's Deep, like
Yeah.
armored
Yeah.
Lothlorien. But the other thing missing from a more competitive version of this list in terms of it's not competitive, but it's just the throwing daggers you can get on all these warriors is fairly devastating on a 3+ shoot. But Dave opted not to do that, and Dave knows his army best. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think this is a lovely, lovely army to see. I'm looking forward to seeing how it does. But yeah, I just, Dave's somebody you can put against someone and go, you're going to have a lovely game against this fella, and looking forward to it.
I nearly killed one of his eagles at the last event because I was just being myself and being a fucking jumpy aroundy idiot and banged his table. Nearly killed it. Apologies,
I
Dave,
hope he's
again for
forgiven you.
that. Yeah, same. He didn't look too pleased. He's a nice lad. Ben Fitzpatrick, Barder. He does like his Sauron and his Black Numenorian. You bastard, you Ben. But he's a good lad. So I'll let you have it. So he's got Warband 1, Sauron, 8 Black Numenorians, 7 Orc warriors with shields and spears, 1 Orc warrior with shield, spear, and a banner, 3 trackers, and a War Rider with shield and throwing spears. Warband number 2 is an Orc captain, 4 Black Numenorians, 3 Orc warriors with spear, 1 Orc warrior with shield and spear, 3 Orc trackers, 1 War Rider with shield and throwing spears. Warband 3, Shelob, hate it. Absolutely hate it. Anything with a spider, terrible. Ben, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to me, boy? Um, he's Ben's a great lad. He does enjoy playing Sauron. Shelob and Sauron, pretty interesting. Um,
It's
35
it's
models,
been
small side actually.
it's going to be interesting to see if Shelob and Sauron can be run together effectively over here. I don't think it's been done before. I think it might have
Mm,
been attempted, but it's a hard list to get right and run. You'd have to be a really special player to do well with it, but I can't think of anyone at all who's done well with it previously.
mm,
But he is the king of Carlo, the king of the Carlo contingent for a reason. And Ben has shown already with this list he can do well, and I only expect him to get better. So keen to see what he makes of this, particularly given the opposition. But Sauron, if you go against Sauron, that's an instant tough game in my opinion. To force the break and stuff, you always got to be considering the chill soul and everything. People
yeah,
tend to just ignore him and play around if possible, and therefore, your top players will deal with this list fairly happily, unless it's somebody like Ben who can play it well and
yeah.
undo them. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I think it's a good list. I like it, and I'm glad to see the diversity, and it's nice to see Shelob represented, despite the fact that she is a spider
Hmm.
and therefore horrible.
I hate them. Terrible, terrible. It's enough on that. Yeah, it'll be good to see. I just genuinely hope I don't come up against it. Scenario means so much when you're against Sauron because the whole break thing as well.
Yes.
Other than Ned, Ned came to my event. Great guy. He's got Minas Tirith, Pure Army, Warband 1, Gandalf the White, and one Shadowfax. He's got 1 Knight of Minas Tirith with shield and a Guard of the Fountain Court with shield. Warband 2 is Madril with 4 Warriors of Minas Tirith with shields, a Knight of Minas Tirith with shield, 6 Gondor Rangers with spears, and a Guard of the Fountain Court with a shield. Warband 3 is Kyrian. He's got 4 Warriors of Minas Tirith with shields, 1 Warrior Minas Tirith with a banner, 1 Knight of Minas Tirith with a shield, 5 Rangers Gondor with spears, and a Guard of the Fountain Court with a shield. And Warband 4 is a Gondor Battle Cry Trebuchet. Warband number 5, a Gondor Avenger Bolt Thrower, and Warband number 6, a Gondor Avenger Bolt Thrower. 38 units, breaks at 19. That's disgusting.
It's yeah, he's got 2 Avenger Bolt throwers in there, doesn't he?
Yeah, 2 Avenger Bolt Throwers and a Trebuchet.
So this list, I think Ned's done himself a disservice, unless of course he is happy with this rep that he is going to be one of the most competitive players at this event, because this is a list that featured at the recent WTC, and when people have seen it, they've gone, "Oh, I'd put my money on that to be winning the event."
Mm,
So whether he wants it or not, Ned is probably getting the nod, Ned nod for for hitting the top spot. So pressure's on Ned. But yes, I don't unfortunately know Ned too well, but he has been over, and it's great to have him back over. And looking forward to getting to know him better. Lovely to have his support for the event, and I believe him to be a competent player and a lovely fellow to face. What I don't like about the list is the siege weapons. I have a
Mm,
personal hatred of siege weapons, but
same.
these aren't Assault on Helm's Deep, so it's Assault on Helm's Deep light, I suppose.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We don't really have a huge siege weapon influx on our scene, so we'll
Good.
see. We'll see how people deal with it. Oh, definitely good, but yeah, when you get an event like this that people are bringing some of them to, you have to adapt your style of play somewhat just to mitigate the damage they'll do to you,
Yeah.
and that's a good method of control to have.
You need to learn to play against everything at the end of the day, so it's good to have people in your team playing a bit of everything, really.
Oh, absolutely.
Jack was pretty much our only guy that did that, and he doesn't play so much anymore. But Ned's a very good painter as well, so they'll be pretty. They'll kick your ass while looking nice. So look forward to it. David Clubley, Uglook Scouts, what a man. He's clearly a man of class and decorum and several other good words if he's playing Uglook Scouts, because only great people play Uglook Scouts.
Yeah.
Warband 1 is Uglook. 12 Uruk-hai Scouts, 5 shields, 6 bows, banner and a shield. Warband 2, Speedy Mahara as well. No, it's Maher, but 12 Uruk-hai Scouts, 6 shields, 6 Uruk-hai bows. Warband 3, Scout Captain with a two-handed axe. Scout Drummer, 10 Uruk-hai Scouts, 5 shields, 5 bows. Warband 4, Grishnak, 12 orcs, spears, and 3 shields. Warband 5, Orc Captain, 12 orcs, spears, 2 shields. What numbers did he get this up to? Do you know? This
I
is
can tell you in 2 seconds. 64.
64. Fair. I normally get in and around the 60 mark, I think, and usually bring about 18 bows. And then I manage to get spears on shields and on all of my orcs.
Very
Um,
good.
but you're dropping a couple of guys. It's a good list. It's a very good list. Like, it's pretty much got the same amount of bows as what I would bring. The only difference is the amount of shields on the orcs. And I guess he's getting a few extra scouts for the trade off for that. Like, so I'd be interested to see what his thoughts on that, if it's worthwhile. I like having the shields just because it's an orc and shield. It can be a bit annoying for people sometimes, but and 3 and 2 would be hard for me to keep track of. Clubby's a good player, so I'm sure he knows what he's doing. Like, yeah.
Yeah. He's Dave is a very good player. Obviously a big name on the GBHL scene. Him and Dan Hawkins, his alter ego.
Hmm.
They are yeah. I've not seen him play the scouts before. I think Uglook has a better rep over on in GB than it does here. But obviously, yourself and Ivan have certainly used them over here. I think Alex has picked them up too.
Yeah.
So we've seen some of them, and we know they can get the big numbers, the drum, the fast movement, decent bow count too. They are a sort of an all-comer force. Maybe not as big a love at Contest of Champions, but pretty much any other scenario they'll be quite happy with. And it depends on the matchup for contests, if I'm honest.
Hmm.
You can certainly do well enough. Just got to look after a look.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's going to be amazing to have Dave come over. Lovely to have his support, and looking forward to seeing how he does with this list because I expect him to be, if not gunning purely for fourth place, his own special spot to be gunning for the podium, and giving people a lovely game while he's at it. So yeah,
Yeah.
gonna be great.
I hope that I haven't played Clubby before, so I'd like to get a game against him if it does happen. Yeah, it's funny. Contest, you pretty much just have like 4 or 5 Uruk-hai orcs going over and just holding a guy's arms and legs while Luke comes over and delivers like the final blow every single time.
The
And it
meat spatter
still
millennial
feels,
style.
yeah, big time. Connor Glover, man himself. So I have brought Fangorn, as you know, the fist of Fangorn, as I like to call it. It has a leader in Treebeard with Paul and Barry Chuckle and Randy the Ent. We've got Quick Beam, Bert the Ent, and Beachbone on his own. 7 models, breaks at 4, quarters at 1. So good luck with that. And 9 Mike. not much else to say on it. They're Ents. They move forwards. They do damage. They throw 18-inch stones. They are fun. And to be honest, I always do a lot better with them than what I expect. So I reckon I'll maybe win 2 games with them. So we'll see.
Yeah, I hope you have pure fun with this list,
It's the
and
idea.
obviously that you do well. But this list is being run by a player so competent and so competitive that he gave himself a 60-point handicap. That's my problem with Fangorn is I would love to see their list fleshed out a little. So I don't know whether you could give them upgrades or whether you could just add
No.
in like a figure like a horn or something that could be 50 points,
Yeah.
like a sort of a dweller type miniature compared to the Balrog. A horn
Yeah.
would be to an end, something monstrous like half troll sort of
Yeah.
foot infantry
I mean,
figure.
Treebeard being a 6-inch banner would make me happy with Ents.
Oh,
Like, there's
look,
lots of other ways
yeah.
you could try and fix them, but a
You,
6-inch
you,
banner from Treebeard or even from the Hobbits would be
yeah, you could definitely buff the list, but I'm more thinking I just don't like to see it
60
have to
points down.
sacrifice so many points to fit in
Yeah,
at certain levels because the only other way you could fit into 800 would be, I think, to do Treebeard and 5 Ents. Is that?
it's 5 or 6 Ents. Yeah, but then you've only 3 might, so it's sort of
Yeah,
the trade-off you're doing. Because I've still
it's
got
frustrating. Yeah.
four. I suppose I got Treebeard and 4 Ents now. I realistically don't know. Well, Treebeard and 1, 2, yeah, 4. So you're
Mm.
getting an extra end, but you're losing might and Beachbone's fight 8, and I do he can be kited to death, Beachbone, but like against the wrong army because he has to charge orcs and Uruk-hai and that sort of thing. But he also gets to
Yes.
reroll when he's against them, so he is nasty.
Well,
Uh,
my hope is you get plenty of time or plenty of chances to do bludgeon. I
yeah,
think it's such a brilliant and fun
hilarious.
DPA.
I have this problem where anytime I play them against like say against a competent player, the bludgeon will like not do 1 kill. And then I'll be trying to show someone like who's like a reasonably like nice player. Like I was playing against at our doubles tournaments, we ended up against like younger lads there at the weekend. And I
Uh-huh.
picked up the kid's Warg Rider, like he's literally like 14 or something, if even. And I picked up his Warg Rider and beat like 7 of his guys to death with it. I was like, I'm so sorry. Doesn't usually happen that well. So yeah, good introduction for the younglings to the game. Um, but yeah, Fist of Fangorn, it is what it is. Come and get me. I've got lots of ants looking for big hugs. One of them's already eaten. So yeah, can't wait.
The other thing with this list is there's a fair amount of magic in this tournament. You've a lot of Witch Kings. I think Galadriel, Gandalf, they're featuring Saruman. You've got the Black Riders, you've got the Vanquishers too. And these are all forces with somewhat of a reliance on compel and immobilize.
Yeah,
And of course, you know what?
do it.
Fangorn Pure Legend, pure not pure, Fangorn Pure Army. Don't care about that. So,
Yeah, it's the best
so
thing
yeah.
about them. It really is. Just they just move for days, never stop. It's fantastic.
So I,
Absolutely.
you know what? Like we'll see what the matchups throw, what how you do and who you go against. I would bet that there are certain players come in who would be
Oh yeah,
keen to avoid your list, and it's
definitely.
always funny when that's the case when you have a list like Vanguard.
Quite funnily, it's quite often Angmar as well, because Angmar's such a good list, but yet Fangorn can just tear them to pieces. And it's just hilarious because the terror
Yeah,
ruins them, then they can't stop them, they can't paralyze them. Um, yeah,
I'd say just on that, there's no Angmar at this event, which
that's
is
interesting.
interesting because they've been such a strong list previously. I think it's down to the existence of Assault on Helm's Deep and Assault on
Mm,
Lothlorien. Two assaults, they're actually on Angmar because Angmar just struggle. They've no real shooting of their own, and yeah, stuff that can either shoot you to death or have fearless stuff charging you and mitigating your
yeah,
sort of terror bubble. It doesn't like that.
yeah,
Even with LOL sort of being nerfed and dropping off the scene more so than not, it's it's interesting that Angmar didn't rise to power, but I believe there's a source book in the works for Angmar, Arnor, sort
mm,
of that region. So we'll see if that does anything to bring them back to popularity. But I'm sure there's plenty of players quite relieved there's not going to be any Angmar.
Yeah, I
getting
mean
a wee
they
break
were
from it.
such a solid choice for such a long time, weren't they? Like so,
Uh,
it's odd to see. So we'll go down to another gentleman and a scholar, Mr. Garrod McGinley. The Gator squad has been shelved for now, and out comes the Grey Company with a beautifully painted Aragorn, I might say. He's got Gimli and Legolas, so the boys. Halbarad with a banner of Arwood Evenstar. She's a bit of a bitch, don't know, but sure. Eldon and Ellerhair and Ranger. He's got all like so many heroes. It's great. Ranger in the north, 5 of them. 11 models, kill 6 to break, kill 9 to quarter. Love it. It's a very Garage list.
yeah, yeah. Again, it's Garage. It's very fun player running a fantastically painted and very fun list. Gonna enjoy seeing it put to use. I mean, I would probably have been keen to take a sword that gives you a 4+ for Aragorn, but he decided not to, so fair enough. But he's gone with the twins, which is an interesting addition.
Did he not take
Um,
it? Did he not? Does it not say Andriel there? Is that not the
no,
sword?
it says Andruil, which is the cheaper
Oh
sort of
yes, of
plastic
course.
budget version of
Yeah,
Andruil,
yeah.
and as such doesn't get the 4+ to wound. It's a shame. But uh, he made his decisions for that reason. But yeah, he's gone sort of the book version, which I am really keen on.
Yeah.
He's got obviously Halbrad and the twins in there, and it's lovely to see everyone on foot. That maybe they have to be on foot actually.
They do, yeah. I think
Yeah, and then what,
Legendary
11
Legion.
models. So might out the wazoo, decent shooting capability.
Lots of money.
Um, lots, yeah, and decent killing power as well. So it's going to be a wee whirlwind, just blitzing around the board, hitting things, killing things, or dying spectacularly.
There was a very
So,
similar one at the Irish Masters that I played against. Had the twins. The twins cleaned up as well against my scouts. It was quite funny. So yeah. So let's go on to the next one. Okay, so down to our next list. We are going to have a look at Chris Cornhill now. We are going to spend a little less time in each list because there is a lot to get through here. So we're going to try and fly through them a bit quicker. So apologies if yours comes up and we don't spend as much time on it as you would like. However, if there is anything weird and wonderful, it might get a bit more of a deeper delve. So Chris Cornhill, absolute legend of a person, bringing a legendary legion, very suitable. So Warband number 1, it's another Grey Company one. So we've got Aragorn again, Halbrand with a banner, Gimli, Legolas, Rangers of the North. There's 5 of them, and Rangers of the North with a spear. Pretty much the exact same as Garage, but without the twins. A couple more Rangers thrown in there instead. 14 on the model count.
yeah, so just investing in more. I was about to say troops, but just more heroes at the cost of the elves. He's gone for the 4+ sword. Good on you, Chris. And like, yeah, two similar-ish versions of the Legendary Legion run by two lovely players. You couldn't ask for a nicer game, and you're going to get it against these guys. So yeah, and he also Chris gets a beautiful paint job on his minis, which he
Does.
which he does completely himself with no help whatsoever. And yeah, it's going to be a great opportunity to see him. It's going to be great up and down, and yeah, looking forward to seeing which of the legendary legions does best at what
Yeah.
in terms of which of them gets the most Silmarils, which of them wins the most, kills the most, what have you.
I mean, you
It'd be
move
good to
in.
have a sort of an ongoing tally between them, like Gorbag and Shagrat
It's
or
actually a good
Legolas and Gimli,
idea. It's a good idea. You know, that we should bring that up to them. I just can't believe it's a difference in an R and a U's placement that gives you the 4 up or not. There you go. It's the little things in life. Fionn, he was at the Irish Masters, right? So
He was also using the Grey Company, if I
yeah, he
recall.
was.
So it's gone for
Yeah,
something different this time,
yeah.
but
Lovely fella as well. So Defenders of Helm's Deep. So Rohan with no horses. It's a legendary legion. He's got big Theoden. He has a shield. He's got 2 Rohan Royal Guard, 7 Warriors of Rohan with armor, shield, swords, all that good stuff. War number 2 is Aragorn. He has Haleth, son of Hama, 10 Warriors of Rohan, with throwing spears and shields, and a Warrior of Rohan just with a shield. Warband 3 is Haldir. He's got the Elven Cloak, and he's got Aldor in there as well with him, the best archer in Middle Earth, I believe, according to Nikki. That is the old man, isn't it? Yeah. 10 Galadrim warriors with spears. Warband 4 is Gambling, Captain of Rohan, Heavy Armor, Royal Standard of Rohan, Sword. 36 models, 18 halfway, 9 quarters, 19 to break. It's 10 bows. It's a throwing spears and stuff though, right? I mean, it's a tried and tested and good list, the defenders of Helm's Deep.
Yeah, so he's got 10 warrior bows there, but he's obviously got Aldor and Haldir as part of that war band. However, they've got
Throwing
he's
spears.
made an interesting decision. The thing about this legendary legion is there's so many like heroes. You can go hero heavy, you can go hero light, but you can also mix up who you're taking. So Gimli tends to take the fall a lot of the time. Sadly, he's less popular as part of this list. Legolas tends to be more popular, so it's interesting. He's been omitted, obviously
Mm-hmm.
dropped for the superior archer and Aldor there. And then he's got Aragorn, who tends, from my experience, to not feature as much. You'd probably say Legolas, maybe even Gimli before him, just because he's a fairly big points investment for this list that could be spent on elves and Rohan with throwing spears. He is not a bad option. He will be given his lads who have 32-inch bows free heroic shoots or accuracy, um, whichever he can provide every turn. So they're always going to be either contesting or whittling away at you before you get into them. And then as soon as you get into throwing spear range, like Lord help you,
Yeah.
it's going to be tough. He's got Might Out the Razoo as well, with both Aragorn and Gambling there, so they can march or they can sit back and heroic resolve and things like that. So yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's the only defenders list in this tournament, and expecting good things from Fionn, but again, run by a lovely player. So yeah, he'll throw spears at you with a smile on his face and a smile on your face.
Indeed. Uh, Aragorn's not that popular in it, but I do like to see him because it's very themey. It gives me that moment in my head, Theoden and Aragorn running out, even if they're not on horseback, and
But this
slaying the
is yeah,
base.
this is themey because you got Ted and Gambling sitting around, but then on the walls you've got Aragorn and Haldir.
Yeah,
I think he'd just have loved to have the extra points to throw in Gimli and Legolas just to just
yeah,
to get the band together. But yeah,
it would be lovely. You'd be sacrificing a lot.
oh,
So yeah, good to see. Good to see. Couldn't be in the hands of a nice person. Samuel Fay, not too familiar with Samuel, but the name rings a bell. He's another Mordor Pure Army player. He's got the Warband #1, the expected Witch King of Angmar, with the Crown of Morgul, 3 extra fate, extra might, 5 extra will, heavy armor. So I assume he's got 3 fate, 3 might,
no,
and 5 extra
he's
will.
only got the one fate actually.
He's only got the 1 fate, so 3 extra. Oh, I see, extra fate, 3 extra might, 5. Okay, fair. So how much?
Yes,
So he's got 2 fate.
one
He's only
fate,
got
I believe.
1, so he comes with none base, the Witch King. I've never fucking used him. I really
Yes,
need to. Okay. So he's
yeah,
got
he
1
he
fate.
he's 0-10-0 or his base
Okay,
stats.
that's interesting. And that's the old bow shot there. Could be bad for the Witch King, but lots will. Black Numenorian, 4 Numenorians with shields. Mornan Orcs, 5. This is quite hard to read. 5 orcs. Shields, Mornan and Orc heavy, 6 with shields, and so I think it's 5 with shield, 5 with spears and shield, Morgul Knights, 1 with a lance, a shield, and a war horn, and 1 without the war horn. Number 2 is Gothmog, with a shield. He's got 4 Mornan and Orcs with shields, 1 with a spear and just a spear, is it? And then 7 with shields and spears, and then a banner, Mornan and Orc with banner. Morgul Knight again in that warband, and then the last warband number 3 is Gurrett's Master Reserves, with 3 Mornannans with swords, 3 with shields and swords, 3 with spears, and 3 with shields and spears. That was a bit of a mouthful to try and get out, just whatever was written there. So yeah,
You may thank the list, the
yeah,
list submission presentation
yeah,
for
it's
that.
probably been a battle scribe job or something there. So yeah, pretty standard Mordor 4-star to be honest. I would throw more fate on the Witch King personally. But
As
lots
would
of
I.
Mornannans. Morgul Knights are themey and cool, but they're meh.
I mean,
Um,
to look, that's the joy of the Witch King is you can build them with different sort of stat lines. Samuel knows his business, and I believe we'll probably be playing the Witch King far more defensively
mhm.
behind the lines, unless of course the opponent doesn't have sort of magic or Legolas sort of, just to
Yeah,
avoid a stray shot coming in and taking them out.
probably Ant rocks.
But it's 46 models. You've got a bit of heavy hitting cavalry in there, but you've just got a lot of strength 4d6 and even
Yeah,
some fight 4 from the few Black Numenorians. So yeah, it can do a job. It's pretty much just Mordor,
yeah.
and it covers the bases with both a magic caster, Gothmog with Master of Battle, and Gurits for your deployment. So yeah, nicely rounded Mordor list.
How much will does the Witch King start off with? 12?
10.
10. So he's 15 will.
Yes, yeah,
Fair. Yeah, it's
yeah.
pretty
It's a good
pretty
amount for a
standard.
country.
And Stephen Fay, any relation with these
Twins, Basil. Yeah,
one going good
twins.
and one going evil. A good twin and an evil twin.
Yeah, yeah.
So we have the fiefdoms. I do enjoy the fiefdoms.
I actually believe, and it's just by way of mentioning, I think they're joined at the hip, so I have to have them on tables playing next to each other.
They just have to play each
Yes,
other
get
in
one
every
joined.
single game. Yeah.
They wouldn't fit around the table.
Uh, so warband number one is Prince Imrahil of Dol Amroth on his armored horse. He's got his lance, he's the leader, and he's got a shield. He's got a knight of Dol Amroth. Uh, four of them, sorry, with lances, shields, and swords. So another same warbanding in this list. Warband number two is Angmar the Fearless. He's got 8 axemen of Lothlorien and 7 man at arms. Warband three is Dwynir. He's got 9 Blackbird Vale archers. He's got 2 clansmen and 3 man at arms. Warband 4, a captain of Dol Amroth on horse, armored horse with a lance, and he's got 5 knights with him with lances and shields. Smaller, cool. I like that one. I always just like these clansmen and axemen and pikemen, and they make me smile.
Yeah, it's a good fiefdoms variant. It's heavy on the cavalry.
Hmm.
So, when you've got Imrahil, a captain,
Like
or both
9 knights.
monsters with dancers and 9 knights, and you're still packing 38 models,
Doing well.
like
Yeah.
that, if that hits right, that can smash through stuff.
Yeah.
And it's backed up by a good foot line. Now you've got no forlong, which is a shame, but Angbor providing the fearless and doing here providing sort of a bit of a shooting buff. He's a cheaper model.
Yeah.
It could do well. It's not got the numbers of the usual fiefdoms list, but it's got hitting power. So we'll see how that goes. But it's nice to see the brothers sort of bringing an evil, bringing something of a
Yeah, yeah, it is.
thematic sort of matchup in itself. Yeah, so very very grateful to have them come and supporting the event, and looking forward to seeing what they do with these lists. Yeah,
Are they Scottish lads or
no, I believe they're from down south.
they're down south?
There's a
I
week
don't
in
think I've seen them at the
with
Masters.
Dion and Ross and so on coming up.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Matthew Butler and
Cool.
uh, Roman. That's the other
Almost
the last
every
picture of them, I think.
fiefdoms player other than David Wade have been Scottish, so that's what I assumed.
I think we're going to see some of that later.
That's profiling for you right there. That's highest regard. So Shane Laird, Minas Tirith and Rohan Green Alliance, Warband number one. I think I met Shane as well. I think
Yep.
Shane. I think he was a nice guy. I think, well, I'm sure he was a nice lad. There was very few of them aren't. Warband number one, Theoden, King of Rohan, armored horse with a shield. 8 riders of Rohan, and 4 riders of Rohan with throwing spears. Warband number two, Faramir, captain of Gondor with a bow. 8 rangers of Gondor with spears, and 7 warriors with shields. Warband number three is Madril. He's got 3 Citadel Guard with spears, 7 warriors Minas Tirith with shields, 2 rangers with spears, 1 warrior with banner and spear. Warband 4, Avenger Bolt Thrower. Warband 5, Battlecry Trebuchet, called Ross Brannigan, apparently. That's just the next list.
You know what? That is canon now, Connor. This fellow Crouch Roche is called Ross
It's
Brannigan.
now called Ross Flanagan.
Shane, I'm sorry, Shane. The decision is out of your hands, and that's been taken now. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Ross performs.
I'm also
He can
I'm also looking forward to
smash
see how
these
Ross.
other people.
He's gonna get throwing arm on him. So yeah,
Uh,
more siege weapons, solid trippy list. Um, I don't think anyone will enjoy coming up against it particularly.
Well, they'll enjoy the guy running it.
Yeah,
I think it's both themed and has the opportunity to be competitive. Again, it's featuring siege weapons left. But at the same time, those were the things firing off the ramparts of
true,
Minas Tirith,
very
whilst
true.
Théoden rode in with his riders, and in the books, Faramir and probably Madro, certainly Faramir is not disposed to be on the scene, but it's fairly themey, and it looks like good fun. It is certainly not your typical list that you'd see. So yeah, kudos to Shane for building it, and we'll see how he does. And
Yeah,
yeah.
very much looking forward to that one. A little bit more so than was it Ned that had all the serious damage in it.
Hmm.
So down to Ross Brannigan, not the
My
trebuchet,
goodness,
the
the
person.
formatting in this is terrible. Shame on the two of them. So
uh,
Ross Trebuchet Brannigan.
it's the halls of Thranduil and the survivors of Lake-town. So he's got big Thranduil with the crown, the sword, and the armor. Hopefully he has the army with him. Four Mirkwood cavalry with shields, one Mirkwood armored elf with banner and elven glaive, 10 palace guards with spear and shield, one wood elf sentinel. Warband 2 is Leggy with the elven cloak, 8 Mirkwood elves with elven bows and elven glaives, 5 Mirkwood armored elves with shields. Warband 3, Lake-town captain, and 12 militia with axes and shields. 23 quarters at 11, sorry, breaks at 23. It's an interesting mix. I wouldn't bring as many Palace Guard personally. Just you can only
Hmm.
seem to get as many within 6. They are nice to sit in objectives and stuff if Thranduil's alive and they don't run away, but like you can only really get about 6 within his buff range, can't you? To really get the best out of them. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's a lot of cavalry. I like it. It looks cool. It's to a degree quite themey. It's what I tried to do with them before, but I just found that the cavalry weren't as good as I wanted them to be, and neither were the amounts of palace guards. So those we mark with elves, just at like with a shield, like 10 points or something, are lethal. Just loads of them. Okay, great.
Yeah, especially in a green or pure army. So I think this is a list with some synergies that has the potential to do well. I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh, well done, Ross, for building it and giving us something new to sort of chew on. Because again, it's not something we've really seen. Like we've seen Mirkwood built pure by yourself, by Ivan. Again, you two seem to share lists, but you've got that power in there. You've got the +1 to wound, and then you've got a bit of bulking out with the survivor lads. One of the things with the alliance matrix that does irritate me is that Army of Lake-town is not green with Halls of Thranduil.
Hmm.
They really should be, in my opinion. And you could, if it were the case, build the list slightly differently with those lads. But as it is, at least one of the Lake-town builds is green with Halls of Thranduil. So it's nice to see them come together.
It's pushed them above
And
that
we'll also
40
have a
mark as
go with
well.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it's hitting what it needs to. You've got a sniper, you've got some decent killing power, you've got a lot of lovely fight value in there, and you've got numbers. So, and a
decent amount of
sentinel
bows.
for a few wee shenanigans, maybe.
Yeah, a fair amount of bows as well. Like he's not doing too bad with the bows. So yeah, not bad at all. It'd be good to see that one. Is Ross? It's not the same Ross that played Moria, is it? Is that a different Ross?
So Ross is part of this. I don't want to get the area wrong, but I think it is a potentially like a sort of Dublinish
Okay,
contingent that's coming up. So
different Ross.
yeah.
Then we've got Jacob Krokmal. Is he from Poland? No?
Yeah, it's Jakob. He lives over
Jakob
in the GBHL
Kuba.
now, but
Uh,
he lives in the GBHL. He lives
Cool,
in England now.
cool.
But yeah, he's a Polish champion and a veteran of the competitive scene for his young years. I think he's only like 20 or something.
Fair.
Married with 7 children and just kicking ass still.
Love to see it. He's brought the Dark Denizens into Mirkwood already. Mordor. I only because I hate spiders, not because I have any disdain for Jakob himself. Warband number 1, Witch King of Angmar with the Crown Horse. He's 3, 13, and 2. 6 Black Numenorians, 6 Mordor and Orcs with spears and shields, 1 Orc warrior with a banner and spear. Warband 2 is the Shadow Lord. He's got 3 Black Numenorians and 3 Mordor and Orcs with spears and shields, and 4 trackers and a Warg Rider with a shield. Warband 3 is a Ring Wraith, 2, 7, 1. 3 Black Numenorians, 3 Orc warriors with spears, shields, and picks, 4 Orc trackers, and 1 Warg Rider with a shield. Warband 4, Spider Queen, and a Bat Swarm. You know, it's just the Spider Queen, bar the little broods. I can forgive that. 800 on the button, 40 models, breaks to 21, 10 to quarter. Solid. Lots of wraiths. I was saying to someone recently, I think it was literally like yesterday or something, just 3 wraiths in a list is just a ball ache to deal with. But
Yeah,
solid.
it's not this is a triple caster list. I don't recall seeing Jakob run something like this previously, but I'm sure he has. It takes a sort of a high skill level, in my opinion, to run this sort of list, which absolutely Jakob fits the bill to do that. And he's not hugging people. He loves to hug people. Nothing like a Jakob hug, I have to say. Grateful to have him on my team to provide them. But he's thrown the Spider Queen in there. Which is, it's a sort of a staple addition in Europe. A couple of casters and the Spider Queen and some sort of other hitter from Mordor can usually do a very effective job in claiming a podium spot. So I have every expectation that Jakob, obviously match up and scenario dependent, and even then, could do very well with this list whilst playing like an absolute gentleman. So yeah, keen to see how he does, but expecting a lot because he's very competent, and this is a nasty list to come up against, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's not one I would want to face, I have to be honest. Though, yeah, it would be
It's
interesting to
it's
see on the table.
it's the fact that like he's got a very terror causing list. You get, I don't know, pick a hero. Take Aragorn. I think was mentioned the other night or whatever. 3 drain courages tossed on Aragorn, 1 dice. They go off on a 2 usually. I think maybe a 3. Aragorn has a choice. Do I take the drain courage because I need to save to prevent a black dart or to prevent an immobilize, a transfix, or do I try to resist a drain courage and maybe even not resist it,
Yeah,
and then I'm out of will. And then, if you've drained his, was it courage 6 down to 3 in the first turn, in 2 turns he could be down to courage 1, and then
yeah,
he'll
no,
risk
he's not
struggle to
making any
charge stuff,
charges or
and
anything. Yeah,
and you've completely nerfed
hilariously
a
bad.
200-point unit, like, yeah.
Yeah, skills. So yeah, very interesting force. Expect to see that one do well. Joshua Bryant, met him down at the Irish Masters. Nice fella. First of our host of the Dragon Emperors. So Legendary Legion coming up is Warband number 1, obviously the leader in the Dragon Emperor. He's got 7 Easterling warriors with pikes and shields. And 1 Easterling cataphract, the war drum. Correct me if I. Why does it say Black Dragon 0?
So in the Emperor's Warband, Black Dragon upgrade is free. In
Oh,
Dragon
okay.
Knight Warbands, it's also free, but in anyone else's, you have to pay for
Oh,
it.
it's the okay. No, it was the points building up. I was wondering what the numbers meant. That's all. That's fine.
Yes, yeah.
It's just the points. Ritabi in
Mason, what do
Warband
the
2.
numbers mean?
10 Easterling warriors with shields, 3 weapon swaps, and 5 Easterling warriors with pikes and shields and Black Dragon. Warband 3 is Brogair, 5 Easterling warriors with bows, 4 Easterling warriors with shields, 3 Easterling cataphracti. Cataphracts? Whatever you
Oh
want.
yeah, just like
Whatever
Josh
whatever.
is an MESBG wargaming nerd, so like
Oh,
you
he's
you
big
must
lore. I
outlawed
did
him.
I did I did get
Yeah.
a chat with him, and you can tell he knows his lore. John loves his lore as well. J Mac, big into his lore.
So
I
that
like my lore, but when it comes to the languages and the words and shit, fuck that. Do not
yes,
have the time.
that's his bag. So you see if you put a quiz team of like him and Rob Mycock and there's probably a couple others who just know stuff. Oh, they'll be hard to beat.
Yeah.
But yeah, the weapon swaps there are to axes, so it's become a fairly sort of common weapon swap to do with this legion, sticking some axes for a bit of strength 4 possibility, just to enhance your killing power. Because that's,
Mm.
whilst I think this legion is somewhat overpowered, it's somewhat sort of somewhat a straightforward driving list. The one thing it might slightly lack, although you get it over time, like with Minas Tirith, is killing power with the strength 3 for the most part.
Mm.
So yes, and by virtue of being reviewed first, Joshua is the de facto person who came up with the host of the Dragon Emperor Legendary Legion. So the other 4 are simply copycats. Just duplicating his hard work and coming up with the list. But Josh is known for running pike lists, be they fiefdoms or the Dragon Emperor. So I don't believe this is anything new to him, and he'll be able to pilot it very competently, I would say, and get some success. So interesting to see it over here, and yeah,
I even like
go
these
Josh.
right at 12 left, not quarter.
Oh, of
Right.
course, of course, of course.
I like it. I like it. Small details.
He's a fan of proper English, as
Yeah.
Mr. English himself. He is indeed keen on grammar and syntax and everything.
A Scot that's a fan of proper English. Fantastic. David Coleman, gentleman and a scholar. He has brought Mordor, Easterlings, Berries of Can, the Serpent Horde. I didn't expect this. Interesting, Dave. Interesting. Warband number 1 is Suladan on an armored horse with a bow. He is the leader in capital letters. Warband number 2 is Amdur on armored horse, 1 cataphract, weapon swap axe. Warband 3, Dragon Knight Armored Horse. Warband 4, the Shadow Lord, Fell Beast. Warband 5, Gothmog, Borg Shield. Warband 6, Candish King. 800 points, 7 models, 15 right, 4 to break, 1 to quarter. What the fuck? That's mad. That's a crazy big
So
list.
yeah, you mentioned earlier about it being hard to build
A banter list with
an all
a
hero army with evil. Well, here you go. Here's the child making a liar out of you. Yeah, no, any thoughts on it, sort of as a gut reaction?
I mean,
Silent.
I'm just trying to count it up in my head. But it's a Shadow Lord having the Shadow Lord there, so he's got his blind and light. He's got
Hmm.
Suladan. What's Suladan's thing? He's like a banner or
Six, six,
something, right?
6 inch banner.
6 inch
Yeah,
banner, yeah. Amdur, I'm not too familiar with. Um, like,
blood and glory and strike.
be fair. Candish King is good. On the chariot. Gothmog's just Gothmog. And a Dragon Knight.
Master of battle.
Yeah.
Dragon Knight again.
So he's got
Heroic
Master of
strike.
Battle, a
Killing
6 inch
power.
banner, blind and light effectively, the chariot, and the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, but plenty of might too.
And plenty of
He's
might,
got a
obviously, yeah.
spellcaster as needed, but that chariot can just run through stuff. He's certainly got he's got
Oh, it's
the strength
hilarious.
and the axes to cut through stuff too. I think it's a list with potential. It's a list I believe him and Ivan came up with to sort of see, well, look, how might you build a Riders of Theoden, I think it was, if it were evil sort of thing, or definitely an evil or hero. And this is what they've arrived at in this form. I think I said previously you could throw in the Spider Queen, if you were doing an alternate type of list, but this in itself I think has the potential to do very well. Obviously, Dave Coleman is an outstanding player and a previous champion. So I know he is intending to take this for a bit of fun, but again, right matchups, right scenarios, and with him at the helm, it's also something that could do well. Not to put him under any pressure, and as his team captain, hoping that he would
Hmm.
indeed bring home some points for us. But at the same time, hoping that he just has fun, and I think he's looking forward to potentially being a stumbling block for some of the other players who'll be competing for the podium.
I think I did see him
Um,
mention something
yeah.
similar to that actually in the chat. Yeah, just saying that he was trying something a bit different.
Aye. So I would be interested if he kept, not that he will, but if he kept a wee tally of which hero did sort of the most killing or what have you.
Hmm.
But I think it's a list that definitely has its synergies. It can hit like a ton of bricks, and
What did,
yeah, keen to see how it does. It's another of my favorite lists from those that were submitted, and it did make me. It confused me when it came in. I was like, "What am I
it's
looking at,
definitely a
and why?"
confusing list. Yeah. Well, what does Amder bring? Like strike, just? Is it?
Strike and Blood and
Blood
Glory.
and glory.
So
Blood and of
if
course.
he
Yeah.
eats some captains and stuff,
He's getting some money
extra money.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so fair play. Was not expecting that. Mr. Coleman, very impressed. Mike Wilson, expect a fun one here. Azog's Legion, Pure Army, Warband 1. Balg, there's our Balg with Fell Word. 13 bats. Warband 2, Gundabad Orc Captain, 10 bats. Love it.
Yep. Another of my favorite lists. This is going to be a straightforward fly over you, throw you on the ground, see if you die
Yeah,
sort of list. It's going to be interesting. It has the potential to really upset people and just ruin all of their plans.
yeah,
At the same time, it's a typical Mike Wilson list. It's models you don't usually see in abundance. On top of that, it's fantastic. Like he's brilliant at coming up with this
he
stuff.
is.
And you should see his collections. Like he's just got a lot of everything, especially the out of production models. And he puts them to good use. I think he's run spiders was his thing as well.
Yeah, and
So
dwellers. I went
today
up against with like
it's
7 dwellers or
yes,
something.
yeah. He's done his dweller list. So yeah, just odd models to the max. Great to see, and we'll see how it does. I mean, yeah, it does. Like it has some nasty potential, in my opinion. Bolg, if he racks up some kills, getting that
Yeah,
mighty hero in
definitely.
there.
Definitely.
Plus he will have Master of Battle, I believe, too, because this is a Azog
Pure.
Legion army, and he's the leader. So yeah, potential for Master of Battle and Mighty Hero, which is sickening. His one weakness is the war between his legs, I reckon. Just can be
Hmm.
easily sniped, and that limits
Hmm.
him. But
Can, my
to be
experience with
honest, I'm not averse to the stretch warg being taken off the table. It's ludicrous.
it. Yeah. Yeah, it does often struggle. But the base is so fucking weird with it as well. It's just so odd. So yeah, unreal and just pretty much what was expected from Mike Wilson.
Definitely another of my favorite lists.
Yeah,
There's a few of them
definitely.
that have come in. They're so outlandish.
Has
It's
been a
nice
few.
to see.
So Ivan Sheehan, another very competent player, another good lad. Riders of Theoden, the legendary Legion. He had this last event, I think. Warband 1 Theoden armored horse, heavy armor shield. 3 Royal Guard on horse with throwing spears. 6 riders of Rohan with throwing spears, and 1 rider of Rohan just base. Warband 2 is Aylmer with shield and throwing spears. 9 riders of Rohan with throwing spears. Warband 3 is Gambling with a Rohan Royal Standard. And Warband 4 Elfhelm and Durnhelm throwing spears, horse. 800 points, 25 models, 13 to break, 6 remaining for 25%. I like seeing the riders. I love seeing fully mounted armies just charging across the
Hmm.
table. Makes
Hmm.
me very, very happy inside. It's not something I will probably ever do because it's too much horse painting. I can't be arsed with that. But
I'm
so
sure
this is
Ivan
where
sympathizes.
mine and Ivan's roads will certainly split at this case with playing similar lists. So, but it's cool. It's good to see. I do enjoy it.
Yeah, like this is it's Ivan's sort of list, one of his lists that he'll be running this year. I'm guessing just for a bit of continuity. But obviously we know the sort of the level of the player he is. He's a top player, and he has the absolute ability to put this list to very good use. It can hit like a ton of bricks. It can wipe half your army out, or it can just dictate the state of play by staying outside of your charge range, but within his charge range until a favorable priority goes
Yeah,
in his way. So like you get it, you have to move, and then he can decide if he charges you or not. And to be honest, if you're low on bows, and we've got 11 lists without bows, he can just play like a
you
standard
can.
Rohan player and
Yeah.
kite and shoot and whittle you down. So I think he is every chance as he usually does of contesting the top spot. With 5 Dragon Emperors and some Elven lists, Dragon Emperors he can probably shoot at, as I've said there, but he's going to run into a lot of stuff that is fight 5 with decent numbers, so that might prove a little more resistant to the usual tactic of
Mm-hmm.
running in, calling death, and destroying half the army. But no, it's Ivans we expect a lot, and again, he's on the team, so hoping he can crack on and do well with that, and expecting that he very much will. And
Yeah.
it's an interesting build of the Rise of the Dead too, because usually previously I think the Child ran sort of hero heavy with Rohan Royal Guard, whereas Ivan's opted to flesh out the numbers with like very decent Rise of Rohan in this list too. So yeah, be good to see how that does.
Indeed. It's you don't see it that often as well. You see a lot of Rohan, apparently. But making a comeback. So another gentleman and scholar, Colley, he has been away too long from the game, from the
He
competitive
has.
scene, and he's brought his Numenor and Rivendell. He's very good with it. It is one of my beans, this list. Warband number 1, Elendil. Of course, he's the leader. He's the big daddy, Elendil. He's got 5 warriors in Numenor with shields and 5 with shield and spears. He's got Glorfindel with Asphaleth. He's got 1 high elf warrior with shield and banner, 6 high elf warriors with shield and spear, 5 with shields, 3 with spears and bows. He's got Círdan with 2 elf warriors with shields and 4 with spears and bows. 34 models, 18 to break. 8 is 25% and 7 bows. Pretty standard Last Alliance list with Glorfy thrown in instead of Gil-galad.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but you get your extra fate and stuff, and you can take down monsters. A lot of people prefer Glorfindel, so I guess one
It's
or
it,
the other.
it's a grand list. It's well built. In an ideal world, there'd be a bit of space for a knight or two just to get a bit of cav in there. But also, we're looking at 34 models, so it is
Yeah,
on the smaller side. But it's more of a defensively played list, perhaps, that dictates, what sort of channels it holds, how many people get in, and then uses its high fight value and banner and stuff to win the fights, and the Numenor and Strength 4 to kill. It's also got 2 very solid heroes who have Fortified Spirit, so they're going
free
to be
hero
hard to shut
combat as
down.
well. Yeah,
Yeah, and you've got the free hero combat in there, and then of course, if you need that extra killing power, and you've got the auras to help your army be more survivable, well, you've got Círdan to do the things
elites.
for you.
Yeah,
So Colley's a very competent player, and he's been a big figurehead on the scene here. He's
yeah.
fantastic. It's lovely to have him coming down, and looking forward to seeing how he does with his last, well, sort of last alliance matchup here. So yeah,
Very, very much. Yeah. He normally is a fan of bringing Gil-galad as well, so it's good to see him bringing Glorfy. He does normally
uh,
bring knights, so it is something a bit different for Colley. And he's obviously got his blind and light, his fearless bubble, his all that stuff that Círdan can cast,
mhm,
terror,
mhm.
all that annoying stuff. So Roman, the other host of the Dragon Emperor, probably won't spend too long on this one, but we'll fly through it. We've got Warband number 1, Dragon Emperor, 2 Black Dragon Cataphracts, Black Dragon Cataphract with Drum, 15 Black Dragons with Shields and Pikes. I should say there's axe swaps in those Black Dragons. Warband 2 is Ratavi, 5 Warriors with Shields, 4 warriors with Shields and Pikes. Warband 3 is Brogir, 5 Dragon Cult Acolyte with axe swap. Warband 4 Captain, 4 Warriors with Shields, 3 Warriors with Shield and a Pike. 43 models, Haas at 20, so 22 to break and 10 to quarter. No bows, so a bit of a different one, but still the Dragon Emperor, still very much what you expect.
Yeah, no, a good competitive build from Roman here. You'll always see, I think, the Dragon Emperor's Warband will be a little more diverse in terms of how many cataphracts Black Dragon cataphracts you stick in. There'll almost always be the one with the drum in there. And then it's how many shield and pike black dragons you stick in as well to flesh them out, and then you can go a little less heavy on the black dragons in the other war bands. As you can see, Romans put in some dragon cult acolytes for some hitting power there. So if you've got them in the front rank with 2 black dragons behind, you've got fight 5, 4 attacks with a banner reroll. That's nasty. Like they've got the thrown weapon on them too, and they've got axes as well. And then he's thrown in a captain there. So he not only has he got the drum, he's got march. So that's the potential, if you place them right, for 12 inches of movement for a good chunk of your force, if not all of it, which is huge.
Yeah,
So that will advance quickly, get in your face, and then use the superior sort of defense and fight value and numbers and banner to get the better of you. So again, great to have Roman coming up, and looking forward to seeing how he does with this.
very much, very much. I think I've seen him on the pages before, but I've never met him in person.
Mm,
So
mm.
yeah, very good. I think Collie might have. You see the dude Collie gives some works too. I think that might be that guy. Not sure.
Maybe.
But yeah. So yeah, that's second of the host of the Dragon Emperors, and we'll move on to the next one. So down to our next list is Mr. David Wade. Our next gentleman is bringing Minas Tirith and a pure army. He knows this very well. It's warband number 1, Denethor, Steward of Gondor, and his leader, 7 warriors of Minas Tirith, 7 shields, 7 rangers of Gondor, 7 spears. Warband 2 is Boromir, captain of the White Tower, with a lance and a shield and a horse, no flag. 8 warriors of Minas Tirith, 8 with shields, 1 with banner, 4 guard of the Fountain Court, 4 with shields, and 3 citadel guard. Warband number 3 is Ingold. He's got 11 warriors of Minas Tirith, 5 shields, and 6 with spear and shield. Warband 4 is Madril, 10 rangers of Gondor, 4 with spears, 1 warrior of Minas Tirith with shield. 55 models, pretty solid, hard to move Minas Tirith list that David can play very well.
Yep, it's a big old horde. It's 16 sort of 3+ bows backing it up. Yeah, 15 rangers in Matro, I think. It's relying on fight 4 a lot, which isn't a bad thing. That's decent in in general. To have fight 4, and it's a very grindy force. The fact that it's sort of hoarding out bodies with some elite troops backing it up, decent fight value and high D makes it tough to go through. And I mean, sort of the biggest thing to call out here, I suppose, is Dave's option to go for Boromir without the flag. He could burn 4 troops or 3 in the lance or something to get the flag in and make everyone near him fight 5 or so, but instead he prefers the Boromir as like a
Absolute
not even
battering ram.
he's not a glass hammer. He is a battering ram.
Yeah.
With a fight 6, might 6, 3 will, 3 fate, 3 attack hero with a lance. He's gonna go through stuff. So
It works, yeah. I mean, Denethor hides in the back and Boromir just cleans up. It does work.
yeah, so I think if I were to call out anything about Mr. Wade, it's the fact that he can run a defensive list really well. When I was first playing against him, he was doing that with a sort of a Last Alliance hybrid, and he, like, even with smaller numbers, he could really get a performance out of it, and play it really well defensively. So this is 20 more models than he used to run with that. And I imagine if he employs those tactics and does the same thing, he's got every chance of doing very well. So yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, he calls himself like the master of the draws. He says he just knows that Minas Tirith always gets a draw. Alexander Judas Neves. Judas. I love that that's been thrown in. Thedred's Guard. Well, I suppose that makes sense. Warband number 1, Thedred's Horse, Shield, Throwing Spears, 1 Royal Guard Banner, 4 Royal Guard with Throwing Spears, 5 Helmings, Throwing Spears and Shields, and 5 Outriders. Warband 2 is Elf Helm on Horse, 4 Royal Guard with Throwing Spears, 4 Helmings with Throwing Spears and Shields, 4 Outriders. Warband 3, Grimbold, 4 Royal Guard with Throwing Spears. They're just copycat warbands, more or less. 4 Helmings, Throwing Spears and Shields, 4 Outriders. Warband 4, Captain with a on horse, armor, shield, 4 Royal Guard horse with Throwing Spears and 2 Outriders. It's a nice list. I like Thedred's Guard. It's good to see Alex running something. I don't think I've seen him run this before, so I'm quite excited to see Alex run this actually.
Yeah, no, plenty to say about Alex. First and foremost, this should be celebrated. I think it's the first list that he's written himself, without sort of taken from someone else, and it's great to see him sort of improving as a competitive player and really starting to challenge consistently now. He's got some good results under his belt, and I only expect him to do better in future. he vies with Ben and occasionally Kane if Kane deigns to show up in future for the Carlo crown. And it's neat to have a bit of variety because he's done the Scouts previously, he's done Bears, and he's done his all hero soup, and now he's looking at what what is probably a return to a proper army. It's an army that can do well, has been run well by others. It's quite a scary army. A lot of throwing spears in there, decent fight value, decent killing power, and a hero that, if played smartly, is very survivable and gives the list fearless. I think, with good numbers, decent shooting, and so on. Um, so yeah, I'd asked Ali King, who's done well with this list before, what he thought of it, and I think he thought it was grand enough. He probably wouldn't go as outrider heavy, but um, yeah, two thumbs up to Alex, who didn't have to submit his middle name, but he felt like he would with the list, so fair enough. And yeah, I know, expecting big things. What I should say about Alex is he's got a list of players that he wants to play, and a list of players that want to play him, like
Yeah.
a score settling kind of thing. So we'll see how many of those matchups he actually achieves and settles during the tournament. But yeah, he's gonna have fun, and there's a target on his back that he's more than capable of giving as good as he gets to. A
Definitely.
great fellow, Alex, and looking forward to him coming down and running this.
Big time. Big time. Good to see Alex. Good to see Chris Murphy. Absolute legend. The White Council and Army of Lake-town and Radagast Alliance, Yellow Alliance. Chris knows what he's doing with these lists. Saruman the White with Horse, he's the leader. He's got Galadriel, the Lady of Light. Warband 2 is the Master of Lake-town. Big Stephen Fry comes in with 5 Lake-town Guard with bows and spears, 3 with spear, and just 5 standard Lake-town Guard. Warband 3 is Alfred the Counsellor, 4 Lake-town Guard with bow and spear, 3 with spear, and 5 standard guard. Warband 4 is Braga, Captain of the Guard, with 4 Lake-town Guard with bow and spear, 3 with spear, 5 with standard with guard again. And Warband 5 just Gua hero on his own. Solid 43 models, solid soup. Knows what he's doing with it. Saruman the horse as well. Good to see. It's
Yeah,
weird seeing him in a good force.
Chris is not only a top player, he's an absolute gentleman. He's been over this year already. It's been lovely to have him, and great to have him back. Him and Christine for this event. Always lovely to have them around. He's, yeah, as I said, he's a top player, very confident with this soupy list. And he's gone for the magic heavy sort of build. So he's gone for magic and monsters over perhaps Legolas or the sort of Glorfindel Círdan build you can get.
Mm-hmm.
I think it definitely has potential, certainly with Chris the Helm too. I think it will be a more grindy version of this particular soup because he doesn't necessarily have a huge amount of hidden power. I mean, I've used Gwaiher in this sort of list and stuff, and I to be honest, I'm generally underwhelmed. Like when he does well, he does well, and he's a constant threat. But in actuality, he's a bit of a glass cannon, bit of a grenade, really, because it takes for him to go in and roll like a 2 high on 2 dice or 3
Mm-hmm.
dice. He's done it, he'll do it, and the absence of a banner could hurt. That's the other thing this list doesn't have. But what this does have is magic protection and magic authority, especially against spirits. So there are certainly some lists coming to this tournament that are not going to want anything to do with this list. And given the sort of the rise of Mordor and the amount of armies that are coming, which kings aren't going to have a fun time against this, and their orcs are going to be left against fight for dudes in abundance. So yeah, he's got a good chance, and we'll see how he does.
Definitely be a tough one. I think Chris is very competent. Peter Fenton, another great lad, always brings very good looking armies, very interesting writ armies. I love the way he writes lists. They're usually really
Yeah.
just interesting, really good. He's got Moria and the 3 trolls. He loves bringing these 3 trolls. Warband 1, Durber's the leader with a bat swarm, 3 prowlers, 6 goblins with shields, and 5 with spears. Warband 2 is Groblog with a bat swarm, 3 prowlers, 4 with goblins with spears, and 4 with shields. Warband 3 is a Moria Goblin Captain with a shield, a bat swarm, 5 goblins with shields, 5 with spears. Warband 4 is a Moria Goblin Shaman with 3 goblins with bow and 3 with bow and spear. Warband 5 is Tom the Troll and Bill the Troll. It's 50 models, 6 bows, 26 to break, 13 to quarter. One of them halves your fight value and stuff, and they're nasty, those trolls, if you don't know what to do. If you're not looking out for them, you know.
Yeah, this is the thing. These, the trolls they're all right. Their big base size leaves them a bit vulnerable as it does to certain other trolls. But as hero trolls, they've got a bit of might behind them and so on. They've also got neat brutal power attacks. One of the biggest things they bring, I think, is that as they're not that commonly seen, it takes anyone facing them a little longer to get to grips with what they do or
Yeah.
to factor them in during their movement phase and how they deal with them. And Tom especially has that ability to, I think I said this wrong the other day. I think I said channel transfix or whatever. To my recollection, I really need to look at his rules, but he at least does like the bat swarm, I think. He cuts your
Yeah,
fight
you
value.
have you have your fight value, yeah.
Yeah, and given the fact that he is fight six, he's auto winning ties in that sort of combat state. So he's nasty. There's some bats in there which will do the job too. And then Bill is he's the de facto lead, the trolls, Mr. Bill. He Mr. Bill, sorry, I'm distracting myself here. Yeah, he can absolutely go through stuff, and that's backed up by a simple 48 goblin slash bat force. So, there's a lot of potential in this force, and Pete's a good man to be running it, and a lovely player to face, and has every opportunity to do well with this too. So we'll see how it does. It's
Definitely.
another of my favorites, probably due to the inclusion of the trolls.
Yeah, 100%. I do. I really, really enjoy his list. So another high model count. We've then got Heaven, Host of the Dragon Emperor number 3. So again, we'll fly through this one. So Warband 1 later, the Dragon Emperor of Rin. 1 Black Dragon Cataphract with sword swapped for an axe and a war drum. 4 Black Dragon Cataphract with sword swapped for axe. 12 Black Dragon Warriors with spikes and shields, and 1 Black Dragon Warrior with a shield. Warband 2 is Ratabi. 4 Dragon Cult Acolytes with sword swapped for axes, and 7 Easterling Warriors with pikes and shields. Warband 3 is Brogear, 5 Dragon Cult Acolytes with axes, and 7 Easterling Warriors with pikes and shield. It's 800 points on the button. It's 44 models, 23 to break, 11 to quarter. No bows again. And the lack of march in this one, but he's got a drum.
Yeah, he's got the drum, and generally that's all these
That's
forces
usually
need. So
enough. Yeah.
this is Kevin Van. Right, I'm gonna get this right. Do my best anyway. Kevin Van Ravensway, Ravensway, or something like that. I think is how it's pronounced. Lovely fella. He's a professional ballet dancer from Holland who's coming over, one of their top players too, along with the next fella we're going to review. He's run this force with good success, and I think he's coming over with his eyes on the prize, and we'll see how he does. But absolutely lovely to have the representation from these lads from Holland, and hopefully they will have such a good time. Then their mates will want to come back in future. But it was lovely for myself to be over at the Dutch Open late last year, and meet and play some of these guys. And yeah, just they have a great wee community there, and it's great that some of them are starting to travel here.
Yeah, 100%. I've sort of accidentally
Right to the bottom.
down there. I did not mean to
Spoilers to
do that.
everyone.
So let's just get back to place. Just below Judas, Peter.
There's Judas
Yeah,
himself. Aye, there we go.
Judas, the
There,
old marker there.
there,
So
there's Kevin.
yeah, solid there from Gavin's another just a host of is that how
But
many
yeah,
Dragon
you can
Emperors
see
do we have?
he's gone quite heavy on the acolytes. So again, an interesting approach in terms of comparison to the other ones. And he's got 5 of the Cataphracti in the Dragon Emperor's Warband. But it'll hit hard, but it'll grind well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I believe he'll do well.
Then we have next up Larry Joe Snellink. Army of Lake-town with Rivendell and a bit of Radagast as well, just for the banter. Why not? Warband number 1 is Stephen Fry with 5 Lake-town Guard, 4 Lake-town Guard with Spear, a Lake-town Guard with Bow, and 3 with Bow and Spear. We've then got Alfred with 4 Guard, 4 with Spear, 1 with Bow, and 3 with Bow and Spear. Warband 3, we have Braga, 4 Guard, another 3 with Spears, 1 with Bow, and 3 with Bow and Spear. We then have Big Glorfy coming in on Asphaleth, and Gwahir in Warband 5. Warband 6 is Círdan, with 3 High Elf Warriors with Spear and Shield, and 1 High Elf Warrior with Shield and Banner. He's got a lot going on in there. That's an interesting list. Master Lake-town, Alfred, Braga, Glorfindel, Gwahir, and Círdan. 46 models. Interesting.
Yeah, this is more how I would build the soup myself. Glorfindel can fluff. He's actually fluffed more so than not when I played him, but him bringing sort of Círdan and the buffs that Círdan brings to the force makes the D4 army of Lake-town guys that much more survivable because your enemy usually have to take terror tests to charge them. Meanwhile, your guys are fearless, so they can pick and choose their fights and outnumber the enemy. So their strength 3 becomes less of an issue because you've got weight of dice trying to get that elusive 6 or what have you. He's gone for Guy here, which it sort of makes sense. Yeah, having a heavy hitter in there can help. I think I've previously gone for Raddy on Eagle.
He seems to be
To
popular
back
in
him
Europe.
up.
Gwahir,
But
definitely.
yeah, he's definitely popular. So Larry Joe, one of the top Dutch players, but sort of half deep South America. That's where the Larry Joe comes from. And then the Snellinks are actually part of the royal family from Holland. I think one of the distant branches. So yeah, very very interesting background and a lovely lovely fella, and running a very sort of a very competent list that covers a lot of bases.
Mm,
Interesting choice of the master for leader. He is, yeah, gonna have to sort of maneuver him well to keep him surviving, be it Legolas shots or black darts or
yeah.
enemy magic or what have you. Because with the Yellow Alliance, he's only got that 6-inch range. But we'll see how he does. I would expect a lot from him too, and I'm very, very glad that he's coming down.
Well seasoned soup from a well seasoned chef.
Mhm.
Christian Lewis, another host of the Dragon Emperor. So we have leader in the Dragon Emperor again, no surprise. Cataphract, well, Black Dragon Cataphract with a drum, 2 Black Dragon Cataphracts with axes, 5 Easterling, well, 5 Black Dragon Easterling warriors with shields, and 10 with shields and pikes. Warband 2 is Ratabi, 4 Easterling warriors with shields, 9 with shield and pike, and 1 with a shield, pike, and a banner. And Warband 3 is Brogir with 6 acolytes with axes. 4 Easterling warriors with bows. 45 models, 4 bows. So one of them has actually decided to bring a few bows just to have the threat. 23 to break and 11 to quarter. So ever so slightly different than the previous ones.
Yeah, the very well-rounded list from Christian. I mean, Christian Lewis is synonymous with Prodigy. His sort of arrival on the MESBG scene last year was he entered one of the biggest GBHL 100 events. David Clubley's wonderful and
Right.
lamented war in Reading. We miss you. And he won it. It was his first event, rocked up and won. And as such, he was a hot commodity that we were fortunate enough to draft into our team, and he's been a great staple of that team. He's a lovely porn star mustache that he rocks generally, and he's a very lovely good fella, very good at quizzes, and yeah, hopefully can bring this force to victory. But you know, he's both growing as a player and competent, so it's a good force to be running, and I could see him doing very well with it, and it's really fantastic that he's making the trip over here too. Very much looking forward to seeing him and having him here.
Just casually rocking into GBHL 100 and winning it in your first go is nothing to be sneezed at. Like,
Over 100 players, like
yeah.
near enough.
Rob, the good man, it's the first time I've seen Rob at an event that I've been to. So it'll be good to see him, finally meet him. So the man of the blog himself, he is bringing the fiefdoms and Minas Tirith as a Green Alliance. Warband 1 is leader in Prince Imrahil on armored horse with lance, and 6 Knights of Dol Amroth with lance. Warband 2 is Gandalf the White and Shadowfax. He's got a Knight of Minas Tirith with a banner and shield, 7 Knights of Minas Tirith with shields, and 2 Citadel Guard with horse and longbow. Warband 3 is Captain of Minas Tirith and horse, shield, and lance, 3 Knights of Minas Tirith, and it's 22 models, breaks at 12, 5 models left, fully mounted force. You always knew he was going to go for theme.
Yeah, Rob is captain theme.
Mm-hmm.
He's just brilliant when it comes to theme lists, and I think he's going to be overjoyed to have a fully painted army because he puts a lot of time and thought and effort into his painting, often to the sort of the expense of getting through too much, because
Mhm.
it takes so much to do. But he comes up with lovely paint jobs. His can, for example, is just fantastic. Hopefully, I really hope his can will grace the field in future, because it deserves to. What with the sort of the county flags on it and everything.
Yeah.
He has a spiel for this list, and it's not on the top of my head, I'm afraid. Sorry, but I hope he'll print it out with when he's displaying his army for the Saturday, because I forget what exactly this was themed on, but it could have been the charge out from Minas Tirith to rescue Faramir,
That's what it looks like.
perhaps. I forget if Prince Imrahil was there in the books doing that, but it would make sense that he was, because the fiefdoms crowded in, I think, prior to all that happening. I don't recall exactly, but Rob is the lore master. He's the man that will remember that, know that, and play on it well. This force will hit like a ton of bricks. It will do well or get the legs cut out from under it. But I would think Rob's a good player. And he's a lovely gent to play too, and it's fantastic that he is making this event. It'd be really lovely to see him down. Hopefully, he'll be able to come to more in future. And
Definitely.
yeah, captain theme, bringing a very themey list. So
Unreal. To be expected. Down to Sean Sproul. I thought he might be the Vanquishers and the Necromancer. So Warband number one, and the only warband is the leader in Saruman. He's got Gandalf the Grey, Radagast the Brown, Galadriel, Lady of Light, and Elrond, Master of Rivendell with heavy armor. 5 models, 800 points. It's the Vanquishers. Not much else needed to be said, really. They're solid. There's not very many of them. They'll be painted beautifully because I think I've seen them once and they were great. Yeah.
yeah, can you scroll down a wee bit? Is his picture not there?
Oh, he did. Did he add in a little?
There we go. His list submission was one of my favorites, because
Oh,
I
it's
mean, look,
fantastic.
Sean has been blessed with a fantastic ability at the game, but also he's a brilliant painter and modeler. Very, very unique, very talented, very creative. And we are, I think, going, hopefully this isn't spoiler alert everyone in case you didn't know, but I think we're going to be blessed with his sort of input on the scene in future as he comes over here. So yeah, looking forward to having him both at this event and moving over here. Going to be a great addition to the scene. And he is, as I say, he's very talented. And so, whilst he is running a force that has a lot of people probably sort of throwing up in their mouths a wee bit at the prospect of it, he's a gentleman on the field. He runs it very well. It's interesting to see the White Council in action, although it might not be as interesting to be on the receiving end of it. We'll see how it goes, but it's a very powerful wee force, especially in the right hands, and he could do and has done very well with it previously. The only gutting thing for me is that because it's not 845, 850 points, he has no Crabagast. So he
Mhm.
may bring Crabagast anyway, just as the model's pretty unique for Radagast on Chariot. But yeah, be a good one to see.
Yeah, definitely. Short and sweet. I do like a short and sweet one. Another absolute legend coming up here, Connor Whitlett. So
Speaking of
Thorn's
short and
company.
sweet.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. He did say he was going to go for something nice. So he's brought Thorn's company, probably one of the best Thorn's companies painted wise I've ever seen. Thorin with Orcrist and Oaken Shield, and then just all the boys: Balin, Dwalin, Philly, Killy, Oin, Gloin, Ori, Dory, Nori, Biffer, Buffer, and Bomber. Tattoos will be painted on Dwalin's head for all to see. 765 points, not quite the hit that I took, but definitely get close to it. Just must be a Connor thing. So that'll
Yeah,
be fun for anyone.
Connor is another one of these prolific players who will casually just take a handicap because he can. I know he's brilliant for just entering into the spirit of loving the game, giving an
Yeah.
opponent a good game, and running a fun, themey force. He just embodies what I think ultimately you'd want from a good game of MESBG with someone. So we have the company running about doing their things. He's got the highest mic count of the event, but you know what? They'll be hacking at stuff and getting hacked upon, and I hopefully he'll have a lot of fun with this and give people a lot of fun games. I would expect nothing less. And as you say, they're beautifully painted. It'll be a joy to behold, and just brilliant to have Connor down too, because it's he doesn't get down to two or as much as would be nice to have him down too because of the sporting commitments and stuff.
Hmm.
So Yeah, really looking forward to seeing him and having him down with this list. Be great banter.
We uh we got teamed up actually in the NCG doubles event there at the weekend.
Oh, very good.
We managed to
Very
win
good.
it together. So
Oh, well done,
the
well
the,
done.
the Connor victory.
Well,
He
again, I wouldn't mind seeing Connor. Sorry, I wouldn't mind seeing Connor do a tally for his heroes to see who
he
kills the
should,
most
yeah.
and all.
I was gonna say he used the scribe and like he was just able to bring the
Um,
goblins on all the different corners, but the way that the game that we were playing were it was so funny. It just broke it. So like Adam actually wrote goblin cheaters on our winning ticket and everything. It was fucking hilarious. So down
Filthy.
to the first assault on Lothlorien list that we've seen. So Jamie Wiggins, warband number one, Druzag, four prowlers, four spears, four bows, two venom backs, and a bat. Warband two, Mesbg, six orc spears, orc banner with shield, warg rider with a spear. Warband three, goblin captain, four prowlers, four bows, three spears. Warband four, Ashrak, two venom backs, four shield, five bow, bat. Warband 5, Goblin Shaman with 4 bows, Warband 6, Wild War Chief, 56 models, breaks of 29, quarters of 14, 17 bows, 10 might. You know this
It's
as well.
it's Jamie Wiggins. It's Jamie Wiggins. Absolutely fantastic bloke and very adept with the assault and Lothlorien. He builds it somewhat differently to me, but no, great, look, great to have him coming over. Really looking forward to it. He's also the only person repping this list. I was worried in my absence nobody would be repping it, but thankfully someone's leading the charge, and of course it's Jamie. So yeah, he's going to put the dampener on a few people who've gone bow heavy these days. And he's got a decent amount of bows in this list. He's also got a decent infusion of orcs. He's got the Wild Warg Chieftain. Kind of covers all bases. Maybe not a huge fan of contest, but other than that, he's got hitting power. He's got synergies. He's got numbers. He's got ability behind him. But boy, like Jamie is a lucky fella. He has the rub of the green. He probably eats Lucky Charms for every single meal, and it shows. He's fantastic crack. And really glad he's coming. And I expect him to do well with this. He's just off the back of coming second at a GBHL 100 there on Sunday. So or Saturday.
Riding the wave.
He's on a hot streak. Yeah, good to
No,
see.
be good to meet him. It's at least, as you say, at least someone's wrapping it for you in your absence. So, 56 models, nothing to sneeze at. Down to another gentleman in Nick. He has done something rather ungentlemanly though, and he's brought the depths of Moria. It is good to see a Balrog in our scene event finally, because it's been a while. Warband number one, Big Daddy Balrog himself, with 10 Moria Goblin Prowlers and 8 Moria Goblins, Spear and Bows. Warband 2, Moria Goblin Captain, Black Shield Drummer, 2 Black Shield Goblins with Spears, 4 Moria Goblins with Shield, 4 with Spears. Warband 3, Black Shield Shaman, 3 Goblins with Shields, 1 Goblin with Spear, 2 Goblins with Spear and Bow. Warband 4, Black Shield Shaman, 3 Goblins with Shield, 1 Goblin with Spear, 2 Goblins with Spear and Bow. He's getting very like the new Luke Ferguson. He just has so many armies now, Nick, that he's starting to be able to bring out loads of different stuff.
Yeah, he's our very own Smaug. He's got the hordes of different armies under him, and he can pick and choose at will. Interestingly, he I think has the lowest might count for the event.
Balrog in it.
In four might. Now he has the free hero combats, of course. Should he be choosing to use them, and should they be going off? This is a list I've played. It definitely has potency, but it's also sometimes a bit sort of disregarded on the competitive scene. He'll be picking it up, and if he sticks with it, he could really use this to very good effect, I
Yeah.
think, because the Balrog is a scary customer. He's scarier when you have to actually do something to him to get any sort of chance of break points, a bit like Sauron. Automatic fight 10 and 4 attacks behind him and ranks of goblins, and also his imbuing sort of fight value to goblins within 6 of him makes them trickier to deal with, even though their numbers aren't huge. The fact that they've got that break-in stipulation, they've also got a drum behind them, so there's a banner reroll in every fight. And of course, you've got two lovely Blackfield Shaman in there who can shatter
Shatter
banners.
weapons, yeah,
Yeah,
banners.
shatter weapons. Those Andruils for Garroge and Andruil for Chris Cornhill and anyone else. They can get rid of them fairly simply. And of course, that to resist that, you'll be using will that you might need to charge or pass a courage test with later in the game. But you'll also want your weapon. You won't want to be going up against the
Yeah,
Balrog unarmed. And of course, as a failsafe, there's Tremor, which can do a lot of damage, especially on low D troops.
yeah,
Your Rides of Rohan, your Army of Lake-town, stuff like that. So yeah, I think this has
a lot of
a
potential.
lot of potential, and we'll see what Nick gets from it. But he's certainly a very competent player that's growing in his ability, and hopefully we'll have fun using it and stick with it, and we'll see how he does.
One of the Scottish lads, I think, in the WTC, shouted Legolas's bow with me. That was a kick in the
Yep,
fucking
yep,
dick.
yep.
Yeah.
I've done that before. It's handy.
Uh, so down to Nicky Forsyth, our next gentleman, and very much the lead character of my last vlog. He did an excellent impression of me as well, in the video. I might even just throw that into this just to show how good it was.
Hi guys, it's Connor here with Wookies of Mirkwood. Just having a wee look at the tables. Got some Iron Hills against Minas Tirith. Say hi guys.
Hi Connor. Hi guys.
Over here,
Hi guys.
some Assault Lothlorien versus Angmar. And that's your Wookies of Mirkwood round 1 recap.
So the army of Dunlin, legendary legion, warband number 1, Thryden's Wolfbane on horse, 8 Dunling horsemen, 5 warriors with bows and 2 Crebain. Warband 2 is Big Gorl Ironskin with 5 warriors with shields, 6 Huskarls, and 1 Dunlingding warrior with banner and shield. Warband 3 is Frida Tallspear with 6 Dunlingding warriors with shields, 5 Huskarls, and a warrior with banner and shield. Warband 4 is the Oathmaker, his VIP. The 8 Wildmen with axes, 4 Wildmen with double-handed axe. Nicky's been running this for a while now. He knows how to use it. Came off back off a 6th place finish at the Masters. He's doing well. So yeah, I'm sure. I think he's talking about tagging them up soon, so it might be one of the last run out for the Dunling boys. So we'll see, Dunling boys.
Yeah, like I will not be able to go on enough to do justice enough to the support of the community in running this event. People like yourself, like the lads up here who are lending Matt's terrain, their time in setting up, and many other people doing stuff. My partner's making stuff for the goodie bags, and the people running the event. I will do a thank you speech at the start of the event and probably at the end, because I am so grateful to a huge range of people. But Nicky has been one of these people he's doing so much, a lot of terrain, token printing, things like that. And I'm just so grateful. He has also exploded onto the competitive scene as of late. I think was it 5th in the
6th.
last GBHL 100 we have here? 6th, 6th.
Yeah,
Apologies,
6th.
not top 5 yet.
Just short of top 5.
Know your play. No, he's doing very well with armies that he's getting to grips with, and whilst I believe he will look to maybe change up in future, try some different things, he's got oodles of competitive nous and the ability to paint beautifully too. So I always look forward to seeing his display boards, lovely paint jobs, and he's running an army that we don't see as much, although we've seen it with him.
Yeah.
And we're going to see 2 of them at this tournament. But it's very good to see them, and he does very well with them, and I'm expecting him to do that again too.
Be good to see the Skyrim horde out again.
Yeah, definitely.
Down to Andrew, who is running the Corsairs. Andrew, another person who makes absolutely incredible scenery and terrain.
Yes,
He's just built that
yes,
Mirkwood board, and Christ,
absolutely.
So Corsair is something I'm wanting to pick up very, very soon. He's got Warband 1, his leader is Dalamir. He's 6 Corsairs of Umbar with spears and 6 with shields. Warband 2 is Delgamar with the same Warband, 6 with spears, 6 with shield. Warband 3, Hasharan. coming in with 9 Corsairs with shields. Warband 4, a Corsair bosun with shield and spear with 6 arrow blasters and 4 reavers. Warband 5 is another Corsair bosun with spear, and he's coming in also with 6 arrow blasters and 4 reavers. Solid. I like the Corsairs. They're cool looking. People hate them. I think they're class. Throw a bunch of camels in for fun. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Andrews, you know, he's got the playing ability, he's got the painting ability, and I'm mentioning Nicky there and others who are contributing to this event. Andrews contributing some fantastic terrain. Very grateful for that too. Absolute gent for doing so. And looking forward to having him along.
Is he
58
bringing the
models.
Mirkwood board? Is the Mirkwood board
Oh,
coming out?
I
Oh my
hope
god,
so.
that's amazing.
But as for his army, he's got a tidy horde there with throwing weapons out. There was a decent contingent of crossbows and a good spread of heroes and some reavers in there who'll be interesting. I've never fully understood how reavers work, to my great shame. They always confuse me, but they can go buck wild, as I understand it, and they're better at killing stuff, or they can kill their own models.
Yep.
And he's got a Hasharan, which is interesting to see. They don't get much love, and yet he's got Dalamir, who's like head Hasharan or one of the main ones, and then he's just got a wee assassin sticking around, kicking around in there. So nice to see some rarer models, nice to see something different on the scene, and great to have Andrew down.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how he's painted them, because they do normally look very clean, very nice, and very bright. So looking forward to that. Down to Gareth, the man, the moment, the myth, the Shire, the Rangers, the Yellow Alliance. He has Warband number 1. The leader is Big Mary, captain of the Shire, with a shield and a sword, and the horn of the Riddermark. He's got 15 Hobbit militia, battling brandy bucks, 7 axes, 4 daggers, 4 hammers. Warband 2, Perry, captain of the Shire, armor, shield, and a sword. 15 Hobbit archers, the Tookish hunters. Warband 3, Baldo Tulpenny, 12 Hobbit militia, 6 axe, 3 dagger, 3 hammer. Warband 4, Farmer Maggot with Grip, Fang, and Wolf. He's got 6 Hobbit militia with 4 axes, 1 dagger, and a hammer. Warband 5, Paladin Took. He's got 8 Hobbit archers, 4 Hobbit militia, 2 axes, 1 dagger, 1 hammer. Warband 6, Will Whitfoot, Mayor of Hobbiton. He's got 2 Hobbit archers and 8 Hobbit militia, 4 axes, 2 daggers, 2 hammers. And Warband 7, Aragorn. Why the fuck not? He's coming in with Andril, an armor, bow, elven cloak, and a horse. He's got 80 models, tipping off the top of the event in terms of numbers. 800 points on the button. What a man.
Yeah. We could take weeks to go through the amount of special rules and wee gimmicks that all the wee Hobbit heroes bring. I mean, hopefully Gareth can rhyme them off when it comes to playing. But again, it kind of goes back to Peter Fenton's list of and others of bringing sort of models that you don't see as much, and that can kind of throw competitors because they're not exactly sure how their synergies work, what they do. Gareth, absolute gent, has promised me he'll be flying through his movement and everything, and he's bringing like an ultimate fun force in terms of like a big horde of hobbits.
Yeah.
And also a bit of hitting power and usefulness with that free might that for heroic resolves, marches, everything, getting those hobbits moving from Aragorn plus a 4+ sword. Very useful. Bodo Tupane is who I'm looking forward to seeing if he does anything, because if he hits somebody with a 6 when he throws a stone, it's an auto wound. So I'm kind of hoping that he'll meet Ben and his Sauron at some point during the tournament, lob a stone and just completely auto wound him. I think that would be bloody hilarious. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting list, and it has potential, and of course it's got Gareth behind it, and like he's just so lovely. So yeah, it's going to be good to see, and I believe he's just getting the painting finished off in time too. So great to have him down. Lovely to see this variety of a list. Another one of my favorites, I think, and gonna be good to have.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing this on the table. I seen a snippet of it at the weekend, when he brought some of it down for the doubles. So it's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I haven't quite got wrong to it. I mean, it's all metal models and stuff, so it's a lot. But fair play to anyone that goes the full 9 yards and does it. Like,
I think Baldo is the guy with the throw stones. He
He
may
is.
be the guy with the traps, or he may be both of them.
Hmm.
Again, I've looked at these profiles when reviewing the list, but they're all out of my head. But the traps are another interesting sort of thing, interaction within the game. Yeah, so gonna be a tough one to take on, I think.
Definitely will be. It'll be. I think anyone will have fun against Gareth. He's just a great guy.
Mhm.
So down to our last, we're getting towards we're in the sort of bigger stage of the second half now. So we'll see what we have left. So down to the next legend of the sport, Calvin Phillips, the nicest man in Northern Ireland.
Absolute filthmonger.
And now Blue Belt, I believe. Rivendell
Oh
and
yeah.
Lothlorien Green Alliance. He's got Warband 1 and Elladan and Elahir, so the twins with heavy armor and bows, 3 high elf warriors with shields, 3 with shields and spears, and 3 with bows and spears. Warband 2 is Aristor. He's got 3 high elf warriors with shields, 2 with shields and spear, 1 with a banner, shield, and a spear, and 3 with bows and spears. Warband 3 is a high elf captain with shield, 3 high elf warriors with shields, 3 with shields and spears, 3 with bows and spears. Warband 4 is Galadriel, and that is the leader. 797 points, 32 models, 9 bows, kill 17 to break, and 8 to quarter. Solid list that. He's used it a couple of times, does the job.
Yep, solid. Lower on the numbers, high fight value out the wazoo. You've got a very good magic caster in there. You've got some killing power with your heroes. Everything on foot, I think.
Yep.
So we foot force that all want to use, like we choke points and stuff to cut down on cavalry charges or being swarmed. But at the same time, it's got blinding light. It's got some decent firepower. And yeah, it has, as you said, the key player on our scene, absolute gem that is Calvin Phillips running it. Excellent painter. Just he comes up with lovely forces and plays them. They're always slightly something you'd not see. So in this case, you've got the twins, Arestor and Galadriel as a wee combination. He was another candidate, actually, a bit like Garroge, that could have bought some form of Angmar.
Yep.
Although I think Calvin's form of Angmar is more trolls and wargs based. It's similar to sort of Connor Whitler ran previously to great fun. But he opted to go for good this event and be nice to everyone. And that's just the man himself. Very talented with a camera, and don't get on his bad side because he will throw you in some way, shape, or form and then whip you with his blue belt.
Damn straight, damn straight. Gentleman himself.
Lovely, lovely.
Anyone. Yeah, it'll be a tough game, but it's always good fun playing Calvin. Like it's never.
Oh yeah.
David Farmer, another competent player, met him, I believe, at the WTC. Nice lad. He's bringing the Serpent Horde with Mordor Green Alliance. Leader in the Witch King with the Horse and the Crown, 3, 13, and 2. He's got 6 Black Gnomes with 6 more Nannins and shields and spears on those. Warband 2 is the Shadow Lord on horse with 9 trackers. Warband 3 is Shagrat. 6 Black Gnomes and 6 more Nannins to get with shield and spears. And Warband 4 is Suladan. 2 Raiders with bows and 1 Serpent Guard. 800 points and 40 models.
Yeah. David is, well, currently he's the top player. I believe he's heading up the GBHL and thoroughly deserving it. Somebody recently tried to take his knee out, but he survived surgery and he's back on his feet and he's back to competing. So no, he just needed knee surgery. I think some sort of Quidditch injury or something. But he's this is his sort of his staple all comer, all round sort of good list that he's come up with. It's got the terror, the fight 4, the strength 4, magic capability, Palo Darkness, and 6-inch banner, and Achille here and Chagra, and even Suladan. This can and will do the job, and David is very adept at taking people apart. Lovely fella, and it's an absolute pleasure to have him coming over to contest this event and represent sort of that brotherhood of or personhood of top players that have made up the sort of the podium of the GBHL the last wee while.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good to have him.
Definitely. Mordor and Serpent Horde is always a healthy alliance, always tends to work well together. Luke Hilder, I believe, was down at the Irish Masters as well. He's brought Rivendell
Yeah.
and the Fellowship. It's a Green Alliance. Warband 1 is leader with Elrond on a horse with heavy armor, 17 knights with shields, and a knight with shield and banner. Warband 2 is Aragorn on horse with a bow and level cloak. Just a big cav heavy elf force with Aragorn. Pretty cool.
Yeah, Luke Kilder, another top fella coming over from England, but he has ties. I think unfortunately his mate Max couldn't come to this event. Hopefully be at future ones. But Luke's a lovely gent. Luke the Suit, he's called, very dapper fella with a very genial, very pleasant manner. Runs a force very well. Depends on what the force is. He mixes it up. So he's previously been running AOL, and this time he's bought Rivendell Knights, who can really have an impact. They're a scalpel sort of swingy list that can do very well. And if there's a man to pilot him, he's it. He's not opted for Anduril, but between the sort of the hidden power of Elrond's magic, knights with lances, and Strider, just Strider, plus that free might to contest the moves every turn, and even just the ability to sit back and shoot, with their army bonus and all.
Yeah, move half.
I think this force has promise, and it's also a lovely lad who I'm very pleased to welcome over.
Yeah, it's always good that if you go, I always find if you're going to bring knights, yeah, they go full tilt or not at all. It always just seems interesting. So yeah, good one to see. Tom Armitage, haven't seen him since your last event, I think, that was down south. Another
Yeah,
absolute
excited
gent.
to have him back.
Good. Very excited to have him back. Isengard, Pure Army, nice. So Warband 1 is Saruman with a horse. He's got Grima with him. He's got 14 Uruk-hai warriors, 6 with shields, 8 with pikes, and a banner. A Berserker and a Housecarl. Warband number 2 is Vrasku with 7 Uruk-hai warriors, 7 with crossbows, 2 scouts, 2 with bows. Warband 3 is Lurtz, 3 Berserkers, 7 Uruk-hai warriors, 2 shields, 6 pikes, 1 Corbean, and a scout with bow. And it's 41 models, 10 bows. Cool to see Lurtz in there as well.
Yeah, it's a good old Isengard force. The 3 warbands, although you've got the cheeky addition of Grima in there for shenanigans. Love Tom. He's just a brilliant fella and a very capable, talented chef as well. Although unfortunately, I don't think we'll get to experience his sort of kitchen delights at this tournament. But yeah, no, very, very glad to have him back. Really, a real pleasure to have him over. And I think he's heading up the Northern Division at the moment, or maybe maybe Matt is first and Tom's second, but he's on the podium currently. He can certainly captain a list well, and Isengard is one of his sort of bread and butter lists. So good to see it, because I think it's the only evil Saruman appearance in this event. I think it's the only pure Isengard list at this event that isn't a legendary legion. Yeah. So good to have some representation for that, and with their strength 4 and their sort of D6 and stuff, like Isengard can put the hurt on you. So
Definitely.
should be well.
And an absolute gentleman as well. So
yeah.
on to our next gent is Michael Bunting. He's brought the Serpent Horde and Far Harrod. Green Alliance from Michael Bunting. That's a change. Warband number 1, Suladan, with 9 Haradrim warriors with bows and 9 Serpent guards. Warband 2 is Raza, 6 Haradrim warriors with bows and 5 Serpent guards, and a Haradrim warrior with spear and a banner. Warband 3, Hasharan, with 6 Haradrim warriors with bows and 6 Serpent guard. Warband 4 is a Mahud King with 8 Mahud riders, 54 models, 21 bows, that says, and 800 points in the button. Yeah, so not the, what is it, Wings of Shadow that he would normally bring.
Yeah, no, you've got some serious model count here, some real shooting capability. For some reason, I thought he had the Betrayer on the list, but I don't think he does. The Betrayer would make this list even more effective with those sort of bow shots, poison weapons, what have you. Lots of Serpent Guard, and if it's Michael, then he's probably got all the sort of out of production models for them, which is sort of fantastic. The range of models he has available, as it is with the Mahud Raiders he's got there. So a lot of effective shooting. You've got the Raiders who can just run in and put those strength 4 impact hits on. They're very nasty. and lots of bodies on the board. So yeah, interesting to see how this one does.
King's nasty as well. Mahu King is some brovolic.
Hmm.
So yeah, that'll be another good contender. Down to our next gentleman of the hour, it's Patrick McCormick. It's host of the Dragon Emperor. I only found out recently that Paddy actually ran this. So I forgot that this would be what he was bringing. So Dragon Emperor of Rune, 14 Eastwing Black Dragons with Pike and Shield, 3 Black Dragon Cataphracts, and an Eastwing Black Dragon Cataphract with Drum. Warband 2 is Rutabi, 4 Easterling Warriors with Shields, 2 with Pike and Shield, 6 Black Dragons with Pike and Shield, and 1 Black Dragon Cataphract. Brogir with 4 Easterling Warriors with Shields, 2 Easterling Warriors with Pike and Shield, 4 Black Dragons with Pike and Shield, and 1 with a Cataphract. Or 1 Cataphract, sorry. 45 models. So again, ever so slightly different than some of the other ones we've seen previously. Is that 4 now?
Yep. I think this is number 5.
5.
Because there's 5, and yes, I think Paddy was the last of them that I received. So, yeah, he is really excited to run this list because it gives him another sterling opportunity to show off his paint jobs. Sadly, I don't think he's had time to do the display board, but he was very keen to, there's a lot of surface area on the Host of the Dragon, Emperor Legendary Legion, or East Lanes in general, but particularly the Dragon Emperor, where you can show off fine painting skills, and that's exactly what Paddy will be seeking to do. But he can also back that up with very good playing skills too. So this is a nasty force run by a very competent player, who's also got real skills with the rest of the sort of the hobby options out there. So he'll be contesting a lot of different things, and I think he could do very well with it.
Yep.
It looks fairly standard. I don't see any acolytes, so he's gone more with just black dragons and cataphract, but he has a drum in there, and he's got the 3 standard heroes. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely will be competing for a few different things, Paddy, I would say. I haven't seen him in a while, actually. So, Big John J. Max Armies of Middle Earth. Absolute hero of a guy. He's bringing Lothlorien, pure army. He knows his lore. Big lore guy. So his leader is Galadriel. She's got a Galadriel warrior with banner, shield, and spear. A Galadriel warrior with shield and spear. 6 with shields. 4 with bows and spears. 1 knight with an elf bow. And 2 guards of the Galadriel court and a wood elf sentinel. Warband number 2 is Haldir with heavy armor and elf bow. 1 Galadriel warrior with shield and spear. 6 with shield. 4 with elf bows and spears, and 2 guards of the Galadriel court. Warband 3 is just a Galadriel captain with armored horse. And again, 1 Galadriel warrior with shield and spear, 5 with shields, 4 with bows and spears, and 2 guards of the court. Lothlorien is popular at the minute.
Yeah, it used to be a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, whenever it was. It would get slated as a force. It was definitely one of the weaker ones in people's eyes. Probably, they saw Galadriel as an unarmed leader. Strength 3 elves, and maybe Rivendell would have been more popular, and Halls of Tarndale had more sort of killing potency. But actually, I think Jay may have taken Jay Clare took the Lothlorien to Ardacon just to show that actually, this sort of force can do well competitively. It's not just a nice steamy force or what have you. And with the rise of the pool system too, the fact that you can hoard in a good, for elves, it's a hoard like 40-ish models. If you compare that to the other Rivendell forces that have like 32, 34 models, getting 40 elves with their fight 5, even fight 6 in some cases, backed up by some competent heroes and some competent magic.
Definitely.
It's a force that can do well, and to my knowledge, I've never had the pleasure of actually meeting John. Very glad he's coming over and looking forward to his coverage too, but I believe he's a player that can use this force well. There was, I'm only gutted because there was another force he was going to bring instead. He just couldn't get the models in time, and that would have been an absolute contender for best theme for me.
Was it dwarves or something? Was it dwarf based or?
No, it's potential spoilers. Apologies, John, if this was to be a surprise later in the day. But he was looking at a fiefdoms list with heroes and pure clansmen.
Oh, cool.
Which would have been hilarious.
The Scottish it would have been definitely a full Braveheart, eat your heart out.
Oh
yeah. John's good. I wouldn't put it past him. Great lad.
Yeah,
to
so
another.
lovely to have him over,
It
and
is.
looking forward to
I'm
how it does.
really, very, very much looking forward to finally meeting John. Should be some weekend. So down to another job, John Foster with the other army of Dunland. He's got Thryden in his first warband with 4 horsemen, 6 housecarls, a warrior with banner, and 2 Crebain. Then he's got warband 2 also with Goral. He's got 4 warriors with axes, 4 with bows and daggers, 4 with two-handed. Warband 3, he's just got a Dunland chieftain with two-handed axe. 4 warriors with axes, 4 with bow and dagger, 4 two-handed again. Warband 4, Freedom makes an appearance with the Dunland warrior with banner, and Warband 5, the Wildman Oathmaker. 5 wildmen of Dunland with two-handed axe, 4 wildmen of Dunland with sword. Nicky's has mounts, his doesn't, so it's more of the foot one, I guess, isn't it? Bit more models probably.
Maybe, hold on, how many did
Well,
John
actually, no,
have?
because Thingy's got
52.
wild men. Nicky does have a lot more.
Yeah, Nicky's got 55, John's got 52.
Yeah, there we go. Not bad.
John is an absolute champion who I'd love to see on the scene more. I think he's just busy with probably work, family, and his other sort of hobbies and commitments and stuff. But it's been lovely to see him coming back to a bit more MASB stuff recently. He's also another one of the fantastic individuals of whom there are plenty, and I haven't mentioned all the name, and I do apologize, but he's supporting the event with sort of terrain and mats and stuff. Very grateful for that contribution. He's also someone who's very gifted at the game, but loves to promote the sort of the have fun side with it. And yeah, bringing a list again we haven't seen too much over here apart from Nicky's representation. I think Paddy previously maybe. In the form of Dunland. So we've got another sort of scruffy horde of boys and gals for people to get laid into, and yeah, we'll see how that does too. But great to have them coming up for it.
Yeah, definitely. More Dunland the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. Down to Edward, the Black Riders, Legendary Legion. Nice, short and sweet, love it, easy to read. Warband 1, leader, Witch King on horse and Morgul Blade. Warband 2, a Ring Wraith on horse. Warband 3, a Ring Wraith on horse. Warband 4, a Ring Wraith on horse. Warband 5, wanna guess it? It's a Ring Wraith. What's it on? A horse. Warband 6, Ring Wraith on horse. Warband 7, might even just be a Ring Wraith on horse. It's Warband 8, Ring Wraith on horse. Warband 9, Ring Wraith on horse. It might even just be 9 models. So there we go. Can't beat that. Black Riders, he's got all 9. What else do you say? It's great.
Yeah, I don't know. I only know of him. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but Edouard, I think it is, Edouard Ballon. He's one of the top French players anyway, coming over, gracing us with a bit of a French representation at our tournament. He is using Black Riders Legendary Legion, which again we haven't really seen over here, and it has the ability to really shut down opponents. Yeah, if he's half as good as his reputation says, he could do very well with this list. But there is also plenty of elves and fight value 5 kicking around the tournament, which could make things a wee bit more difficult, as well as some, well, greater amount of horde lists and some decent courage in there. So there will be challenges going his way. But he, as part of our sort of conversation when he was inquiring about tickets, was sort of very keen to stress that he just loves to play for theme and happiness, and giving his opponents a fun game, and I'd expect nothing less from him, even with that list. So we'll see how he does.
My kind of guy. I just love seeing all 9 riders. It's fantastic. It's great.
But I look at his name, I'm just so tempted to say Edward, but it's Edouard.
Edouard. Pronunciation is important. On that note, Wilhelm.
Yes, this is more European representation.
Yeah. Barhara, love to see it. Pure army, he's got the Mahud King coming in as the leader with a camel, war spear, and a shield. 1 Mahud Raider with a pipe and a spear, 2 half trolls with point adjusted weapons, and 2-handed club. 5 Mahud warriors with spear and pipe, and 5 Mahud warrior with spear and a banner. Warband 2, Mahud King, camel, war spear, shield. 1 Mahud Raider with pipe and spear, 2 half trolls again, and again just with the same loadout, and 4 Mahud warriors with spears and pipes. Warband 3 is exactly the same, and Warband 4 is a Mahud Tribes Master one Mahud Raider with Pipe and Spear, 2 half trolls again, and the 4 Mahud Warriors again. So a lot of the same stuff, a lot of hard hitting, a lot of Camel Kings. Nasty, 800 points, 34 models on the low side, but hits like a ton of shit. 21 bows as well.
Yeah, it is heavy hitting. It's a different sort of list. 34 models, yes, but there's a heavy count of half trolls in there with their 2 wounds, fight 5, I want to say, maybe D6. Strength 5, and I think they have the option for 2-handed axes there. That he's gone for. So, you know, between them, Raiders and you got the strength 4, I think, warriors in there with their pipes and all. Like this is a list we've not seen too much of.
No.
I know Luke Wilkinson has run it with great fun, and it's sad that Luke and even Ewan and others can't make this event to participate. But we've got Wilhelm sort of representing for Harad, which is a faction we don't see too much of otherwise, and they can be a fairly difficult list to overcome, especially in the right hands. I have to say, like, obviously we've got some top GBHL representation coming over, but it's pretty cool to have like the top guys from Germany in this case, from France in Edouard's case, and from Holland and Finland coming over too.
And Belgium.
Yeah, and of course Belgium. Yes.
Scotland and England.
Shouldn't
Yeah,
forget
it's
about
under,
Louis
yeah.
and even Alexis coming over. So, you know, like we're getting some of the best of the best here from apparently so many countries that I forget some of the more obvious ones. I really am sorry, Louis. but you know, like it's these players, they're top players. It's just so lovely to have them over. So I'm really glad that people like Wilhelm, and I think it's Wilhelm and Edouard and such have reached out, because it's going to be really lovely to have them over, and hopefully they'll want to come back. But yeah, probably first time experience in Northern Ireland too, and we'll give them a good tournament to go back to their mates about, you know. Yeah, and also they'll be challenging the best that we can throw at them too. So we'll see how they do, but I've high expectations for this fella to take Harad far.
I'm a bit nice. I'm very excited just for all the different people coming over. Like that's probably my favorite thing about the whole event. It's just how much banter it's going to be. So down to our next gent, another legend himself in Shay, and Shay has brought his Minas Tirith and Rohan this time, mixing it up a bit. Warband number 1, he's got Boromir as his leader, horse, shield, banner, Minas Tirith, 7 guards at the Fountain Court with shields, and 7 rangers with spears. Warband 2, trusty Ingold with 10 warriors, Minas Tirith, spears and shields, and 1 Minas Tirith warrior with a shield. Warband 3 is Madril with 6 warriors, Minas Tirith with shields, and 6 rangers with spears. And Warband 4, Elmer coming in with an armored horse, a shield, and a throwing spear. 15 might, 41 models, 21 to 50%, and 10 to quarter. Shay is getting more and more competent by the tournament, so it'll be good to see what he can do with a bit of Elmer chucked into his mix.
Oh yeah, scary prospect. Fantastic to have him down. Was it this year, or was it end of last year he first sort of showed up?
This year. It's only really my event. I think wasn't my event was the first one, or was it one of your? It was one of those events that was the first event he was at. I can't remember which one it was. I did the list review for it. It was Steve's. One of Steve's.
It might have been, yeah.
It was Steve's one.
So he came down. He's got a group of mates who hopefully will join us on the scene in due course, and picked up the game just like that. And he's using a very dependable list. So in this case, it is a more fleshed out version. He's got Boromir, you know, big hitting power, buffing the troops. Your dependable heroes in Gold Madril, and then Airmare for some more hitting power. Green Alliance are obviously. It's something that he can pilot really well, and he has been, as you say, sort of going leaps and bounds up the sort of the rankings whenever he's attending events. But also a lovely gaming experience, and somebody who's showing how adept he is at strategy battle games in general, I suppose. So I guess watch this space with how he'll do, but a great addition to the community, and great to have him down, and looking forward to seeing what he does with this particular list.
Yeah, big time. Big fan of Shay. Down to Alexis, another person here. I haven't seen him since I've seen Tom. So similar sort of time frame. He's brought Halls of Thranduil with a bit of Radagast and a bit of Lake-town and a bit of Erebor reclaimed. The Warband number 1 is his leader is Legolas with Horse and Cloak. Warband 2 is Radagast with Gwahir. Warband 3 is Dwalin, a dwarf with spear and shield and a banner, and 12 dwarfs with sword and shield. Warband 4 is Army of Lake-town with a Master of Lake-town, 3 guard with bows and spears. 5 normal guard, 4 guard with bows, 2 guard with spears, and Warband 5 is Braga, 10 guard with spears, and 2 guard with spears and bows. 44 models, 800 points, every hero you could ask for. Alexis is a good player, very analytical. I expect that he could do pretty well with a ship like that.
Yeah, well,
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
He's arguably the best of Belgium, or the Belgians. With Louis hot on his heels, of course, but Louis hogs the painting awards, and Alexis generally mops up the podium bases, the gold medals. Alexis obviously came over last year, slept through most of the weekend, and whenever he was awake and playing a game, won the game pretty much, and ended up winning the tournament. Very, very, very gifted player, and lovely individual too. I'm very, very glad that he's come back, and obviously, but part of my team too. It's nice to be involving him in that sort of stuff, and yeah, it's just so lovely to have interaction with an international community in Mesbg and get to know these people who you wouldn't cross paths with them otherwise. And Alexis is as exemplary as any of the others I've mentioned so far and who are coming to this event. In terms of, it's so great to have them coming. Hopefully they'll be back for more in future, but just hope they have a lovely time, do well, and give us something to sharpen our teeth on, I suppose, because a lot of good players coming. A lot of good players.
Hopefully he stays awake for a bit more of this one as well. Enjoy some of the antics,
But sorry, Connor, just a wee comment on the build of his list. It is an interesting way of doing the soup because he has not got Alfred.
No.
And obviously there's a lot of analytical reasons behind this sort of build. It not got Alfred in there, potentially because there could be 3 Maelstrom scenarios. He's got Dwalin for some killing power, but Dwalin's not on a goat. He's also got a fairly hefty contingent of Fight 4, Strength 4 Ironhill dwarves in there with their high defense. He's got Gwahir for hitting power and Legolas for survivability and sort of sniping people. It's a force I could see him doing very well with, but if anything, it is probably the oddest Lake-town soup I've seen in a while.
Definitely very odd, yeah.
To see it in action, yeah.
Yeah, definitely intrigued to see it in action because it's definitely not what I would have expected to see reading through it there. Like, it's not going to be mimicked, like no one else is going with the same list when you write something.
No. Last year it was Lake-town and this, not Lake-town, Angmar.
Angmar, yeah. So down to David Feeney, another new player to the scene and another lovely guy that we're glad to have here.
Yeah,
He's brought Minas Tirith and Rohan, so a bit of a step away from his normal Moria. It's a green alliance. His warband 1 is Steward Kyrian, King of Men, with heavy armor, shield, and 3 guards of the Fountain Court with shield. 4 Rangers of Gondor with spear, 4 Warriors of Minas Tirith with shield, 3 with shield and spear, and 1 with a banner, shield, and spear. Warband 2, Barandir, King of Men, with armored horse and lance and heavy armor and shield. 3 guards of the Fountain Court with shield, again, 4 Rangers, spears, 4 Warriors with shield, and 3 with spear and shield. Warband 3, an Avenger Bolt Thrower, again, with swift reload this time. Warband 4, Earl the Young, with 5 Sons of Eorl, 2 Rohan Outriders, and 1 Rider of Rohan with banner. That's interesting. Kings of Men, loving it.
Yeah, bit of diverse heroes, something you don't really see at all.
Never see it.
Fields of Celebrant, I think it is, themed list. Love the theme, the player behind it, just a brilliant fella. Looking forward to him and enjoying this tournament and taking the list so well themed as this. Definitely think it's a contender there.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's also, it covers a lot of bases. Errol's a pretty good hero. You've got your big old crossbow sitting behind the force, and you've got a decent fight value force there with I think Sons of Eorl, are they like strength 4 with axes, so they can have some good hitting power. I think this is a very interesting force, a very neat force, and David's got every opportunity to pilot this well, but also knowing him, probably play it, be really fun and be a great game for his opponent. So absolute pleasure to have him down, and great to see a list like this being put on the table, especially with the diversity of units he's used that particularly are very rare to be seen on the board.
Yeah, definitely. Like he's always good crack when he plays. He picked it up really really quickly as well.
Yeah,
So that was good. So yeah, very very good. Like to see that. Dr. John Dorian, the Serpent Horde. Has he brought his hasn't brought his mimic, has he? He hasn't. Warband 1, Suladan, the Serpent Lord, armored horse, bow with poison arrows, leader, and he also obviously has the banner. The Warbands 2, Harajam Raiders, with dagger, horse, war spear, and 2 with bows and poison arrows, dagger, horse. Warband 2, the Betrayer. Warband 3, a Taskmaster, 9 Harajam warriors with armors, daggers, and spears, and 1 Harajam warrior with banner, dagger, and armor. Warband 4. Oh, yeah, I brought the Mimic. War Mimic of Harad. Of course he has. Tusk weapons and Harajam Commander. 9 Harajam warriors with bows, poisoned arrows on top of that. Pretty much what we expect to see from John. I was very, very surprised when I didn't see the Mimic at first.
So yeah, look, great to see him taking a break from Sacred Heart Hospital to come down and participate in the event. Known for his mimics, John's just such a lovely player to have around. He's been around on the scene and off the scene for a while, but always good when he's able to come down and participate in events. And this is a pretty staple John list. Throw in, well, this is the one war beast in the event, I believe. Throw in a war beast. Throw in some sort of ring wraith, if not more than one, and a good flavoring of Harad. It's not a big list. It will have some nasty impact. It could be taken apart, but I'm sure John will have fun, and I imagine his opponents will definitely have fun. And just such a nice game. And yeah, going to be great to have him down.
Definitely. John's just a wonderful person to play. Great crack. Me and him did a bit of AOS a while back, and I keep meaning to message him to get another game in because he's just such good crack.
Yeah.
So we do have 2 surprise lists as well to get through before the end. So on that note, the great, the wonderful, the man again, Jamie Moore and his Fiefdoms and Rohan Green Alliance. And Timmerhill of Dol Amroth with armored horse and a lance, 3 axemen, 3 clansmen, 6 men at arms, and 4 knights with lances and shields. 4 along the fat with 6 Blackroot Veil archers, 4 Blackroot Veil archers with spears, and a captain of Dol Amroth with armored horse and a lance, 2 axemen, 3 clansmen, 6 men at arms, and Thedred, heir of Rohan, with horse and shield, throwing spears. 41 models, 10 bows, 11 might. Bit different than what he did before. You did say he was doing something slightly different, but much the same that his last list otherwise, obviously without the big mad hero that he had. Jamie's top lad, absolute top lad, and his armies look really nice looking as well, the whole Green Knight thing and everything.
Oh yeah. He has some well painted armies. He's a fantastic fella. I think Nicky had the pleasure of going to his event recently in Ayr. Was very glad for him grabbing a ticket too, just to enhance the Scottish contingent coming over and supporting the event as part of our region. Long live our region. And
Indeed.
yeah, no, Jamie and Fiefdoms, he runs them really well. I know he's chucked in Thedred this time for a bit of extra hitting power. I think he could do very well with this list, and it's an absolute pleasure to have him coming.
Definitely is. He says himself like he can run that in his sleep, so he's run it that long, And another absolute legend, last but certainly not least, Doctor Who, Mr. Niall Woods. We've seen him at QCon, dressed to the gills. He's brought Mordor and Easterlings, Green Alliance with the Myth of Sauron. What a leader with an armored horse. And I'll just go in pure fun as always. 6 Morgul Knights, 1 with a horn. Warband 2, Knight of Umbar. Why not? 4 Mernan Orcs with spears, 2 with spear and shield, 4 with shield, and 5 Mernan Orcs with no equipment, which is coming in boxing people, apparently. What's going on there now? Warband 3, Amdur, Lord of Blades with armored horse, 5 Cataphract Black Dragons, 1 with drum, and Easterling Dragon Knight with armored horse. 790. So yeah, that's I've never said it's different than just his pure Easterlings. We get to see him run something a little bit different.
Yeah, so he's gone for the Alliance, although he does love to rep Amdur, Lord of Blades. So great to see Amdur's second appearance. He's not been as popular for the last wee while, especially with the Host of the Dragon Emperor appearing. And yet, here we are graced with 2 appearances in the one event of him. No, that Niall has been off the scene for a wee while, so it is, it was really lovely to see him at QCon, really lovely to he's still kicking around. There was also there was a Reddit post earlier that said current status of summer holiday in Fermanagh, just turned heating on. And given that there is only one person in Fermanagh, it was good to see that Niall's still alive and kicking. So even better that he has seized a ticket for this event and is bringing something which is typical Niall. It has potential, but you know what? It's good crack, good fun, and we'll see what he does with it. But I can guarantee you lovely games against a particularly lovely individual, and it's lovely to have him back.
Big time, big time. It's my first ever competitive game. It's against Niall.
Oh yeah, very good, very good.
I'll always remember that. Like, it was great. So yeah, that's a lot of lists that we went through. A lot going on, and a lot of rather random ones and a lot of really strong ones. So I guess just before we close off, who do you think is most likely to win, and who do you think is the dark horse?
Oh heavens. This is I honestly I don't have an answer to the first question or to the
Very
second,
difficult.
because I will give you some names, but like, there are so many proven top competitors attending this event from many different countries, including our own island. And then, there's actually so many people with decent lists who I either don't know so well because they're not always as regular on the scene here, or I haven't personally experienced coming from abroad. And it always depends on how things happen on the day and what matchups you get and the scenarios at the same time. So I don't know. We've got David Farmer and Jakob are, I think, both are in the top three for the GBHL at the moment, attending with lists they'd be confident with. You've got Ivan. You've got the French, German, Dutch, Finnish champions coming. Take your pick. They're all strong and contending. Belgium as well. Scotland. Do you think Shay would rep sort of Cuba or Mexico?
One of those two, definitely. Yeah.
But no, we've got those lads, and I think dark horse. I would potentially. Again, there's just so many. I'm sorry, but between Christian Lewis, Jamie Wiggins, and David Clubley, and I'm only mentioning Clubley as a dark horse because we've seen what Uruk-hai Scouts can do in Ivan's hands.
Yeah.
So we know that they have the potential, but they, having looked at some of the other lists, like your Gondor and Toast of the Dragon Emperor hordes, that have similar models or high model counts and higher fight value and stuff, they might be hard to take apart. But I've every confidence in David's natural ability to play that he could certainly do very well. But goodness me, there's just too many, good lists, good players coming. It's very hard to choose.
It is.
So I'd be better saying no to your questions. I can't choose. I'm sorry, Connor.
I think if I had to choose, I would have to say Ned for a dark horse purely because of the way that list is kitted out.
Yeah.
And then I'm just gonna go Alexis because he won the last one that I was at the last time I seen him. So I think it's to see he might be another option. You never know. He's got a really weird list, and I think some people might not be prepared for such a weird list.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But yeah, it's shaping up to be really good. We've got like so many people from all over the world now. Well, Europe. But as you said, we've got like Belgium, Holland, Finland, France, Germany, obviously Scotland and England, and then the Republic and ourselves up here north. And there's going to be a lot of pints had, a lot of dice rolled, a lot of fun, a lot of laughing, a lot of banter. And we've even got J Mac coming over. So like, what more could we really be looking forward to here? So
well, I hope it all comes together for a marvelous event for everyone.
Yeah.
That's my ultimate goal, is everyone leaves happy, leaves with something, and hopefully returns in future. And we'll see what we can do in future. But for now, we'll focus on the now. We've got a tournament ahead. And Connor, I cannot thank you enough for all the time you're given to cover this event, and for all the help in terrain and everything you're providing, and just for being your normal, fabulous, wonderful self, who's been such a I don't know, champion of this community up here. You've been brilliant, and I'm very grateful to you. So thank you.
Far too kind. Far too kind. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm sure everybody's going to be just as thankful as I am when we get there and see all the prizes and everything and how it all rolls out, because we can all tell that you put a lot of work into it. So thanks very much.
Looking forward to it.
That's it. We'll get it wrapped up anyway. So thanks very much for listening. If you've made it through the whole thing, well done. And there's a big weekend ahead of us. So thanks very much again to Michael for joining us. And we will get the vlog up after the tournament. You can actually see what went on. So enjoy your days. Take care and much love. All the best.
Yeah.